There we go. We here. What's up, folks? And for my people for YouTube, look, I have to always keep apologizing to y'all because I know y'all the main ones that watch the playback. I upload these to Twitter sometimes too, but I mostly upload them to YouTube. And I know I'm not as interactive on YouTube as I am in responding to people's comments, but I see you. I appreciate your comments. And I just want you to know I appreciate it. Keep supporting. So yeah, don't hold it against me that I don't always be on my YouTube responding back. A lot of times I just get on there, post, and I get right back on to TikTok. What's up, Mocha? Good to see you. We're just getting started. We don't have a whole lot, but we might turn this into a little long session. We might turn this into a little long session. And what I found, I just had to go ahead and go live. I said, damn it, this is worthy to go live about. This is, even if I just go live about this one part, this is worthy to go live about. Let me move this back so y'all can kind of see it. Just in case you want to read it while we wait a bit. It's kind of hard to get it all in there without going way back. All right, how about that? And we're talking about this. I'm gonna be end up reading this section. But you see where I got highlighted there? Intruders and trespassers. Who are intruders and trespassers? What are they talking about there? That line, as well as things talking about patents. You see where it says about patents? We're talking about land. We're talking about intruders and trespassers. We're about to really see something. We're about to really see something. And we're gonna see if ChatGPT can also explain a little further what the meaning of the paragraph is, but it's pretty self-explanatory once we get into it. People are starting to slowly fall in. I'm about to finish my little roll up, and I know how it is. Like once I get going, it'll go from like 10 to 70 out of nowhere. So I ain't gonna delay too much longer. Thank y'all for liking the live stream. Thank y'all for being here. And we're about to talk about it. We're also gonna talk about the census. Some things I found within the census. We're gonna talk a little bit about some of the slavery within the five tribes. 1 second. What's up, boss? My bad. No, I'll send it right now. Yeah. We're going to be talking about a few things. Let me send this off here real quick. Yeah, we're going to be talking about a few things here. Because they said, hey, the 5 civilized tribes own slaves. So why would you want to claim those tribes? That'd be one of the main talking points people say. But we're going to look a little bit deeper into who some of those people were that supposedly owned slaves. Most of us already know, right? It's the white folks. But we're going to actually see it on documents from the government. So that way we can know for sure what it is. Okay? So now we're about to get into the game, all right? Ain't a lot of people in here right now, but people will show up. It happens. A lot of people are on the live streams where there's a lot of debating going on right now. I ain't tripping. I was on them too. You know, so they may or may not make their way this way. You get caught up in in the debates. I feel that. I feel that. So, okay. And we'll go back over this when people really get in here. But I want to go over it right now. Now, this says the land of the five tribes. Now, what document is this? We're on page 28. Let me open it in Acrobat Reader so I don't have to. You know what? Did I want to do that? We're in this document. But let me see if I can go back, damn it. I don't remember what the hell I had open over here. Go home. Probably this right here. Yeah. And look at this. We have an Indian census roll here from 1847, 1839, and 1837. Okay, now this came from the government too, from the census.gov, I believe, or family search through the census.gov. Now, this is not the microfilm, and I don't like that. And I'll tell you why I don't like it. Without it being the microfilm, I can't really verify this. I like to see handwritten stuff. Anything can be purposely mistranslated, when it's redone and from one document to the next. So I really like to see the original documents, right? But this document talks about certain censuses that were done in the early times just within those tribes. Now you got certain sections here, and we'll just kind of slightly go over this real quick, and then we'll get onto this land. But as you can see here, the 6 column and the 7 column are supposed to be your slave columns. Now I want you to realize that it doesn't tell you who those slaves are. It doesn't tell you what color they are. It don't tell you nothing. It just says slaves. Now, we're supposed to expect that it's the black folks, right? But, man, this is just so far away for me to have to do it. Get close. Okay. To try to get it all on the screen. This is why I should be on my professional setup. That way y'all can see the whole thing, and I ain't got to do this, but I got to stop being lazy. But either way. So you have columns 6 and 7. Now, these are your slave columns. These are your white teeth, or it just says males and females. We don't know if these are free white persons, Indians, because this is the other thing. Now, we're in an Indian census, but they're formulated this census just like your normal American census, United States census. Okay, so why is that kind of messed up? Because on the other census, some people just assume that these people over here, unless otherwise stated, are white, even though we know that's not the truth. That section is your head of household. And your head of household can be any color, can be anybody, right? So we also don't know what color these people are, because this just says males under 18. And then we also don't know what color the slaves are. It just says male slaves and female slaves. But then you have this whole thing on the far right that says degree of blood. So we're going to go through this, and I want y'all to realize we're going to see a theme here. We're going to see a theme here of who has the most slaves at this time, and then we'll get back to that land thing real quick. But I want you to notice that the W means white. Okay? FW would be full white. Think about that on an Indian document. Why would you have a full white, right? Intermarriage, whatever. White, which would be this half, or what degree of blood. So that's the degree of blood, half blood, fourth blood, full blood. And then is it a white in there? And then sometimes it'll say B, but that doesn't really mean black. So really, they'd never really tell you who the black folks was, or who was a black person mixed with an Indian, whoever they said was an Indian at the time. It's so corrupt. But at least there's something we can find out about, is who do they say have all of these slaves? Well, there's Sloan Love. And for those who know about the Love family, they're in our family. And then you got a Jones family, right? Notice, I don't know why I did that. I did not want to go full screen. What the hell, dude? What the hell? I hate this. Okay. Tripping. All right. So what you'll notice right here is the half bloods are white. So you have YT people owning slaves. Your full bloods, and we will see some, but most of the full bloods do not. You come down, who has the most right here? Another YT person, right? Who has these slaves right here? YT folks. Oh, the Indians own slaves. Look at all these YT folks have them a few slaves, and you can see some of the names. What are some of the names? Love, Jones, Mitchell, Potts, McKinney, Love, Albertson, and Parker. Okay? So is it a surprise that they have them? It shouldn't be. They easily tell you. The YT, 1718, they got some slaves. That's Molly Gunn. Is that an Indian? We're on the Indian rolls. Is Indians owning slaves? Well, you might get a few here and there. As you can see, these full bloods don't have anything right here. These half-blood whites, what do they have? Some slaves. You go to the full bloods, ain't nobody got nothing right there. Half-blood white, nothing. Now, you do got a full blood there that apparently has 2 female slaves. Now, you got to think about it. Now, let's think about this. Now that we found a full blood with some slaves, now we got to think about this. Let me come across, see if it ain't going to let me come across. Nah. Okay. So let me just do this so we know which line we're on. Okay. So we're looking at this line. Again, he's a full blood. He has 2 slaves. Well, is the 3 people here Indians? Or are they black or are they white? Are the 1 person here Indians, black or white? 4 people here, are they Indian, black or white? You know what? We have no clue. We have no clue. We have no clue what color Mr. Tushka Yahola. Like Tuscaloosa, Yahola. We have no way of really. What's up, Gia? We have no way. Oh, it kind of popped up. We have no way of really figuring out what's up, Tabitha? We have no way of really figuring out what color Tuscaloosa is, because now typically with most census forms, right, which is what they did with American census form is they let's just pull up one. And we'll get back to that because that's got some names on it. Let's just pull up a quick little census for those to get a visual. Now, this is an older one that's handwritten. Let me see if I got one that's not handwritten. I got them, but it's kind of zoomed out. Okay, so this is a little bit better. So this is the census for the United States Census, right? Around the same time. This is 1830. They use the same format, but the thing with this format is you're only supposed to think of black and white people because there's only a couple categories. There's free white persons, which is just a funny category in itself, because you also got to think, why would free white people be listed up under a person who's black as head of household? Is that a slave? Do they work for them? Do they live on their plantation? What's the deal with that? But then the only other category you get is slave, which is this. You got slave, right? Free colored persons. So you got your black, and basically they wanted America to look black and white. Okay, I can understand that. A little fucked up, but that's what they want it to be. But that's what I'm getting. When you get here and it's the same format, we're not looking at black and white. Now we're looking at Indian black and white, according to them, right? According to them. But they still have it in a format of just black and white. So how do I know how many people on the line here is Indians? How do I know how many of them are white? How do I know who's black? They do not say. Okay? They do not say. So, but what you will notice, at least here, is they do list the white, they do list the full bloods, but what they don't list, watch this, full blood, full blood, full blood, full blood, half white. Think about it, half white or full blood. So being half white means you're half of half blood, right? Half blood, but they put the W there. That's the reason why I'm saying this. Let's keep going down. Watch. Watch now. Watch now. Half white, full bloods. What is this? What does half B mean? What would half B mean? Now, your first inclination is, does that mean half black? Because that's got to mean half black if that means half white, right? But what you'll realize when you look at the legend, B just means blood. B does not mean black. Now, what kind of sense does that make? Let's go back down. Let's go back down to what I'm talking about. If half blood is already half blood, if the half blood is already half blood, if the half already indicates half blood without the letters, and the W means white, why do you need the B if this already indicates the blood, right? That's what I'm getting to. If the half is there, that lets you know, and FB is full blood, that lets you know already that, yeah, half means half blood. But they don't list who the hell the other half is on this. You see how funny and trickery that is? They will list the half blood for the white. The other half, oh, it's just a half blood. We don't know. Okay? And you will see that going down further. Purposeful erasure. I'm not even going to assume those are half black. I don't know what to assume for them, to be honest, because that's just a horrible practice for them to do. That's the main thing. I'm not supposed to assume. They should write it down. If this person is a fourth white, then a fourth B should be what? You're a fourth what? A fourth blood? That's what it stands for. It stands for fourth blood according to them. But what if that really means a fourth black? What if it really does? The problem here is they don't give us access to the microfilms unless you go in person. And even when we go in person, will it say black? Will it say just half blood? Did they never indicate the bloods for anything other than just full blood and white, and anything else was, it's almost like, why would they even separate anything else without telling you what it is? So I just wanted you to see that first, okay? But also I've showed you that most of the time when you see these higher numbers in that's higher numbers in whatever in slaves, typically you'll see a W. Now look at that one. That's a little different. That's a B. And the last name is Perry, Widow Elizabeth Perry. But notice this, they don't have that many other people in the family with them there, but they have a lot of black. I don't even want to say black. They had a lot of slaves. They can't keep doing these paperworks like this and then expect for us to just decipher it, but at the same time, or guess at it. We're going to decipher it, but guess at it. But this is why a lot of this paperwork is just really should just be abolished in a sense. But it's good they at least have some of it so we can track. But so that's what we have here. Okay, now this was the census, and it changes up. Let me show you where it changes up. Now this is 1847 census of the Chickasaw Indians. Let me show you where it changes up, because this is 3 censuses on one little form. Also, they don't have a total at the end because my main thing. Okay, I'm already in 1839. My main thing I wanted to see was what was the total number of so-called slaves and the total number of so-called whites at the time out of these, but they didn't really give me a number. Okay, so I passed the win 1839 right here. Okay, so the 1839 census, the categories are a little bit different. Earlier they had female slaves and male slaves. Now they just got one category for slaves. You got males and females in different category of different ages, age ranges. But it doesn't tell you whether that's white or black, Indian or whatever. So how am I supposed to know? We're not looking at a black-white U.S. census form. So why would they do the same thing and act like it's just, it's just really a fucking stupid, to be honest with you. But these people will be your head of household. But notice this one doesn't have a degree of blood. Okay, they do show a so-called slave category. What's the slave color? We really don't know. Could be white, could be black. What are these? We don't know. It could be white, could be black, could be anything else. Could be Indian. Sorry, there's another category. Could be white, could be black, could be Indian. These could be Indian slaves. And for all we know, we don't know what the hell. Okay? But either way, I just wanted you to know that just a couple years before that, they was not doing the whole blood thing. So it's almost like you got to ask the question. This is 1839 census. And then I also got the 1837 census down here below even further. And in the 1837 census, you also don't have a category for that. So how y'all miss so many categories of blood, and then all of a sudden y'all can tell who the blood is? Y'all ain't been keeping up with it. So how do you know who's the full blood, who the half blood, who the fourth blood, who the eighth blood, and all this other stuff? Y'all ain't been keeping up with it. That's because it's based off of lookership, okay? Based off of lookership, right? And if it's based off of lookership, well, it can be whatever the hell, okay? So now let's go back to this document here. The thing that really got me, where'd it go? The thing that really got me wanting to come online today, where the fuck I do with it? Oh, yeah, I could pull it up over here. I can pull it up right here. I think it closed itself out. So I need to read even more through this, 90 pages, but I was skimming through it again today. Just skimming through it, y'all. Now, we already saw the absurdity of this. Now, remember, this is the thing that shows the 5 civilized tribes, 178,000 Indians, and out of that 178,000, 109,000 of them are white folks, which is just absurd, right? Well, okay. There was many things in here that was pretty absurd, but I kept going down. I said, man, you never know, man. You might run across some shit, you know what I'm saying? Skimming my way through. I ain't read it all. I guarantee you, I ain't read it all. But when I skim, I find. And I stopped right here. Lands of the 5 tribes. Now, I want you to go ahead. I'm gonna go ahead and preface this that we're about to figure out who are the intruders and trespassers they're talking about. We're about to figure out who are the intruders and the trespassers they are speaking on. It was this passage right here, along with things like the word patents, that got me being like, man, let me jump on the live stream. Because I really wanted to get my shit up. I've been on all kind of shit today, to be honest with you. I started up looking up the Jerome Commission, and that was kind of leading nowhere. It seemed like it was kind of simple. Then I started looking up Pueblos, Comanches, Kiowas, trying to figure out some of the first times they've actually came around. Actually, people started mentioning them. What's some of the earliest books you can find on them? What's some of the earliest newspapers you can find on these bitches? And I was looking up that. And then I don't know. I was looking at some other stuff too, and then I ended up back on this. So let's read this, because as I read it, it will become self-explanatory. And if you want a screenshot, you're more than welcome. Let me try to get it all in there. It's kind of hard. There we go. There we go. All right, let me like this. And we're going to read this. We're talking about land patents for the 5 civilized tribes and intruders and trespassers. Okay? It says the area of the land holdings of the 5 civilized of the 5 tribes is given on page 2, together with reference to the treaties, laws, or orders affecting the same. The Chickasaw lands and the out boundaries of all the lands are surveyed. The Chickasaw and Choctaw lands are held by them in common under their treaties. Visa, the Choctaws own 3/4 of the rights and interest, and the Chickasaws 1/4. So where we're at right now, they're talking about the Chickasaw and Choctaw land boundary and how they own 3/4 and one owns 1/4. And let's pull up a visual of it real quick. If I have one saved, yeah, right here. They would be talking about this, okay? And as you can see, they own it together in 1830, at least. They owned it together and used it together, but the interest was really 1/4 Chickasaw and 3/4 Choctaw. Okay? Do this. Appreciate the follows, y'all. All you new folks, appreciate you coming in. Get your game in. All right, so these lands were obtained from the United States under treaty and patents in gross or to the nations have been issued the same. Let me read it again. Chickasaw's 1/4. They said these lands were obtained from the United States under treaty and patents in gross or to the nations have been issued for the same. It says whether these patents are in fee is a question. Okay? It says still, in all these patents or the treaties under which they were made, there is reserved a supervising power of distribution, at least by the United States. Okay, now this is where it's about to get interesting. It says the lands of the 5 civilized tribes are among the most valuable in the United States and form one of the best watered sections in the country. Why would they say it's one of the best lands in the most valuable? Well, let me show you. Why would they say that? Well, it could be because they knew that Oklahoma, this is a oil and gas fields, right? They knew that Oklahoma was full of oil and gas fields. Okay? Some of the most valuable in the states. You got some up there spread across different states, but in this state, you have quite a bit concentrated right there, right? As well as through Texas. All right. Okay. What else? What else did they have in Oklahoma? Some coal fields. Big section of it is coal fields. Okay. And I really wonder what that section is. So the darker it gets, likely the more concentrated it is. It actually says over here. Semi-bituminous. I'd have to look up what the hell that means. But they are some of the most valuable lands, right? Okay. All right. And they knew that. Let's keep going. And what it says, no lands, we're right here, no, damn it, hold up. Before I forget, get the freaking calendar. Plug this in. What's up, 81 folks, man? Yeah, I appreciate y'all coming in here and getting the game. What's up, y'all? What's up, everybody? Let me just say some what ups to the folks real quick before we get into this last part. Not this last part, but this next part. What up, Lee? What up, Mocha? What up, Yaya? What up, Step Up? Give a damn about no calls. Oh, sorry, y'all, man. Something just came in. Annoying. Okay. What up, Tabitha? What up, Judah Lion? Big dog. What's happening? Let's see. And if I miss you, I may have just missed you. I'm sorry. Let's see. Chief EJ Smoke him in the crib in the building. We got who else we got down here? Bunch of new folks, man. I appreciate the new folks too, man. Look, I love y'all all just the same. Said the J in my name makes a Y sound. Okay, Yaha Cox. All right. It said, what was that last word you said? Hell, I can't even remember. Your boy be on that gas. But okay. So now we about to look at this. What up, Smoke Ja? So let's go to this last section of this. We'll talk about the Chickasaw land, y'all. They was talking about some patents and treaties, but they ain't really gotten to the meat and potatoes, but they about to. It says no land can be disposed of by the Indian nations or tribes or individuals in Indian territory. The United States must approve or concur in title to lands in this territory. There is no public lands therein coming within the provisions of the settlement or disposition laws. No act of Congress has brought any portion of the lands of the territory under the operation of any public land laws. And there it says right here, persons entering Indian territory as settlers and claiming land under the public land laws of the United States become intruders and trespassers. Now, I don't know. Now we're gonna read this next part because I haven't read this. But just think about the gravity of that, which we've said. If you have came in these lands and bought them, you can't buy them because they are not under any public land laws. Now, this was taken in 1894. I don't know if somehow that maybe got amended or changed. I don't think so because I believe treaties are just about as tightly binding as the Constitution of the United States, if I'm not mistaken. And we can Google that. Actually, let's Google that. Are the treaties as strong as the United States Constitution? Probably the best way to ask it, but let's see. So no, treaties are not as strong as the Constitution. The Constitution is the supreme law, and I think that's the next thing down, though. Is the supreme law of the land and is superior to the treaties, while treaties have the force of law and are superior to state and federal statutes. They cannot violate the Constitution. So, okay, it's a hierarchy. Constitution, treaties, state and local laws, state and federal laws is what it sounds like, which set the ultimate limits on the United States government's power. Constitution, it says it right there too. Supreme hierarchy. Constitution, the highest law of the land. Treaties cannot override constitutional provisions. Treaties, the supreme law of the land. Okay? Now, I wonder what's the difference between being the supreme versus the highest. I need to look up the etymology of those words just to be on what's the etymology of supreme. But anyway, alongside the Constitution and federal laws, meaning they are superior to state laws and federal laws. So they're pretty much close to each other, okay? And then you got your federal laws and your state laws. Are both subject to the Constitution and treaties. Are subordinate. The federal laws are subject to both the Constitution and the treaties. The state laws are subordinate to the constitutions, treaties, and the federal laws. I said relying on Google is crazy. Did you not see how the rest of this time I had actual government documents up? Are you trying to stroke your own dick and fucking troll? Oh, I gotta throw something in here. Let me rub myself while I troll this man. Stupid motherfucker. You think I need to go that far to prove it? I'm pretty sure there's a .gov source right here, nigga. Right here. Because it gets it from the .gov source. You think I gotta... we're relying on Google. It's a crazy thing these people be doing these days. Stupid motherfuckers. Mm-hmm. Sorry, you are lost. No, you're dumb, nigga. If you didn't think me looking this up, I already knew this was going to be a government document right below it, nigga. I'm a Google expert. I'm talking about something that deals with government. Do you think there wouldn't be a government document right below it at the first thing with something dealing with the government, nigga? Stupid. That's what their hierarchy is in search engines. Government first, EDUs and news second, and then everybody else after. But you don't know this shit. And I could go through this and try to read the whole thing and it's going to tell you that shit. Effective treaties on the Constitution. But I'm not finna give you that goddamn satisfaction, you fucking weirdo. Take your stupid ass on. Man, these people crazy. So anyways, guys, because also the link was right there in the goddamn AI. I didn't have to look. I knew where it pulled the information. You know, people are fucking morons. But let's continue. So the treaties supersede everything except for the Constitution. You said they'll say and do anything except face the truth. Exactly. Got them. Yeah, and then and that's what the trolls do whenever they know they done made a dumbass remark and a dumbass mistake. They just throw emojis, laughing emojis. Nigga, that's the dumbest retort you can get to what the fuck I just did, nigga. If laughing emojis is your retort, nigga, yeah, nigga, you got super cooked. Super cooked, okay? What's up, Adventures of a Goddess? So we're going to go back to this. So yeah, the treaty supersedes that. So really you got to think about it. Unless a change has been made to the Constitution that has now allowed public land laws to override patents, then that means our patents, let me show you a patent. Let me show you a damn patent. Since we got because you know who don't have patents? Native Americans. Yeah, you know who don't have patents typically? Native Americans. And white folks too. How come they ain't got no patents? How come they wouldn't have patents? This land is your land. This land is my land from the whatever that song goes. But I guess it's not your land. This shit is my motherfucking land. Right here, I know somebody. I think it's James. He has a land patent, a real official one. There goes the brother. Super. Look, y'all. For those that don't know, man, I'm a dressed up type nigga. Okay. So when I look back and my ancestors, especially on the battle side, since that is my surname, and I see niggas dressed up in the finest, I'm like, that's what the fuck I'm talking about. Nigga, that's where I get it. Nigga, my whole closet's full of suits. I got blazers galore, I got suit colors galore, suit pants galore, shirts even more so galore. And then I barely got like 2 or 3 pair of jeans. But that's my folks. So let's go down. And I need to save it. You know what? I'm about to say now, that's his. Or maybe I'm thinking about somebody else. No. It was his, but where's it at? That's that land, but that's not what I'm looking for. Man, make sure y'all start saving your documents on these things. It's a marriage license. Unless I'm on the wrong battle. Hold up. It might be his parents. Lawrence Battle. Yeah, it might be Lawrence Battle. But he had land too. Yeah, right here. Let me save this motherfucker while I'm in this bitch. There's the download button. Where is it at? I can screenshot it, but I like to download it when possible. Huh. There you go. Let me save this real quick. I guess I got to save the file. I like to save it to save image. There you go. All right. So this is a land patent. Okay. Not to say that they don't come in other or whatever, but this is definitely from the General Land Office. Okay. And this is a certificate. And we'll see. Let me find the word patent for you. But we got homestead application, all that other stuff. Lawrence Battle. This section is important. It says, let me do it like that so you can see it. Now know ye that there is therefore granted by the United States unto the said Lawrence Battle the tract of land above described to have and to hold, and death won't do your part. The said tract of land with the opportunities thereof, something like that, unto the said Lawrence Battle, and to his heirs assigns forever. To his heirs assigns forever. Okay? Forever ends never. Okay? Forever ends never, ya bitches. Okay? You native bitches. I don't give a fuck about you. I know some of y'all lurking down in this hole. Says I'm from Arkansas and had land stolen from my family in Lono. We're going to get it back. We're going to figure this out because there was somebody that got something back here recently that was showing me came on my live stream and showed me a lot of it, a lot of pieces of paper. All his people getting their land back, ancestors. So no, we gonna figure this out. Printing is nice and clear. Discussion constant saved to SD card and stuff still disappearing. Ain't that some crap? Yes, I saved them and print them. Yeah. Good to get you a hard copy in. Yeah, this land right here is Little Rock, Arkansas, y'all. Let me show you. Let me see if I can see the word patent in here. See if I can find that shit. Right there. Patent. So, says, let's read it. So after it says that assigns forever, it says, in testimony whereof I, Benjamin Harrison, President of the United States of America, have caused these letters to be made patent, and the seal of the General Land Office to be hereunto affixed. All right. So yeah, this is a patent. This is assigned to his heirs forever. It's got your numbers on there and whatever, and it is in Little Rock, Arkansas. So imagine. I wish I could figure it out. I probably could figure it out. I just haven't went through the whole thing. I probably got to go to the budget land office or budget, whatever. I know somebody I can hit up. I know somebody I can hit up about it though. Budget land office management, whatever it's called, the BL, whatever. And then it probably a lot of times it lists. Oh yeah, this is where it lists the actual area of the land. So it says south half of the southwest quarter of section 26 in township 1, south of range 12 west of the 5th principal meridian in Arkansas, containing 80 acres. So I don't know exactly where it is, but there's 80 acres. Now 80 acres is quite a bit, and 80 acres in a major city is quite a bit. Because depending on where that is, it could be a lot of businesses and real estate sitting on that 80 acres already, because it's a major city, right? So what would happen if I was to somehow get that back? What if our family was to somehow able to get that back? Well, I don't know. I'd have to look at the laws on it. You know what I'm saying? I'm sure basically you're pretty much like the landlord at that point. Can you charge people a certain fee, or a certain tax, a certain rent, a certain whatever? Can you move them off of it? Can you, have what are your things? What are the things you have under law that you can do? I'm gonna have to look a little further into it. 80 acres is double reparations too, so they gotta pay you. Exactly. If they sitting on top of it, again, if they're sitting on top of this patent land, let's go back just to use that along with what we was talking about. Let me go back down here. Right here. So it's my land, right? It's supposed to be our land in patent, right? And if it's my land in patent, then it should not have any public land laws. And anybody that tries to get that land under public land laws should be listed as intruders and trespassers. Now let's read this next part down here. Let's read this A, because right after that, it has an A next to it. Let's see what that A is. It says, the following is the form of proclamation warning intruders out of a tribe or nation. It was posted on trees, houses, or fences in the Chickasaw Nation. So that was a proclamation posted in the nation around, like, don't be intruding on our lands. That's pretty crazy. All right, let's read this next thing, because it says something about United States land patents to the 5 civilized tribes or nations. Okay, I haven't read this part yet. Could completely negate everything I just said, but, we'll see. So it says, the following statement is taken from the report of the Commissioner of Indian Affairs from 1890, pages, whatever those pages are. Patents have been issued to the Cherokee, Choctaw, and Creek nations for the tracts respectively defined by treaty stipulations as follows. December 31st, 1838, to the Cherokee Nation forever upon conditions, one of which is that the lands hereby granted shall revert to the United States if the said Cherokee becomes extinct or abandon the same. It says it reverts it to the United States, but okay, let's keep it going. It says March 23rd, 1842. It says, to the Choctaw Nation in fee simple to them and their descendants, to ensure to them while they shall exist as a nation and live on it, liable to no transfer or alienation except to the United States or with their consent. The Chickasaw lands are embraced in this patent. And so it's saying, let's say it again. It says, in fee simple to them and their descendants, to, what does that word say? To immure to them, immure, I think, or inure. I'm gonna have to look that word up. To them while they shall exist as a nation and live on it, liable to no transfer or alienation. No be transferring the land or alienations. Aliens coming upon the land, I believe that's what that means. Except for the United States or with their consent. Meaning, hey, you can get our consent to come here, or the United States can come. It says here, August 11th, 1852, to the Muskogee and Creek tribe or nations, so long as they shall exist as a nation and continue to occupy the country hereby conveyed to them. The title, therefore, of the Cherokees, Choctaws, Chickasaws, and Creeks to their lands is not the ordinary Indian title by occupancy, but is a base, qualified or determinable fee with only a possibility of revision to the United States. United States versus Reese, whatever is the case. And the authorities of these nations may cut, sell, and dispose of their timber and may permit mining and grazing within the limits of their respective tracts by their own citizens. So let me read that one more time. The title, therefore, of the Choctaw Chickasaw Creeks of their land is not the ordinary Indian title by occupancy, but is a base, qualified or determinable fee with only a possibility of revision to the United States, and the authorities of these nations may cut, sell, and dispose of the timber. So I guess the authorities of either nation, any of the nations which are the Indian nations, can cut, dispose of their timber and stuff within the limits of their respective tracts by their own citizens. So it's saying that almost like you got mineral rights in a sense, almost. Okay, let me look. I'm no motherfucking lawyer here, but it says the General Allotment Act provides that the law of descent and partition in force in the state or territory where such lands are situated shall apply to all allotments made under said act after patents therefore have been executed and delivered, and that the laws of the state of Kansas regulating the descent and partition of real estate shall, as far as practicable, apply to all lands in the Indian Territory which may be allotted under the previous of said act. And I'm thinking it's almost like going into like heirs property, if I'm reading that somewhere right, where it's like, your descendants start to partition out or section out the land that's allotted to you based upon the descendants that you get and something. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? Ain't no lawyer. Some of that shit is all extra. The Seminole lands are held by them under treaty of purchase from the Creeks, confirmed by the United States. The question of allotment in the five tribes is one which will probably have to be settled under and special authority of Congress. The lands of the five civilized tribes are known among them as public domain and are held in common. Occupation of lands for any purpose gives a possessory or occupancy title, which can be defended in the tribal courts. A person running a furrow with a plow around a tract of land holds all within the same, and in case it covers a road or public highway, the road must be changed and pass around the tract. Abandonment of lands so held for a term, 2 years, usually throws it back into the public domain to be used, occupied by new occupant. So this kind of, I kind of get what it's saying there, but not really. I probably have to throw it in ChatGPT. I kind of understand some of it, though. No titles are recorded. Let me just see if anything's seen. I think that's the sentiment of the public domain becomes one of the greatest questions. Chief Mays. I'm probably going to end up reading that whole thing. I ain't going to read it today. The alignment of 160 acres per person is possible. The five civilized tribe nations. Some of the tribe nations improbable that the land holdings 375,000 acres, blah, 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 blah. Okay. Historical outline of the five civilized tribes. All right. So, I ain't going to go through this whole thing right now, but I will, just to see later if there's anything important, because I want to kind of stick to this whole patents thing and how the United States can become, can come into the lands and they can approve people to be on it, but it's still under our patents, it's under our whatever, or anybody coming up under there would be intruders or trespassers. It's not public land. But even though it's not public land, the United States, it says the United States must approve or concur with the title of the territory. There are no public lands therein within the provision of the law. No act of Congress has been brought to the portion of the land territory under the operation of the public land laws. Persons entering Indian territory as settlers and claiming land under the public land laws of the United States become intruders and trespassers. And so what I'm getting to is like so let me pull this up. And we'll go through this to make it make sense. So when Oklahoma first became, people started moving out to Indian Territory, this is what the Indian Territories looked like in 1830, okay? So the first tribes kind of came over. We got all this land. Now, there may be way more land there then is what's really needed for the people to live on. So what happens is you get this thing called the lease district. Okay, and what is the lease district? Well, the Chickasaws and the Choctaw leased this section of land to the United States. Okay, and I'll have to find that. We went over this in something. It was here in this Cornell law, but without trying to find it and find it. But the Chickasaw, that's why their nations got smaller. You see how it got real small there compared to here? Because they leased this out. And who did they lease it out to? They leased it to the United States. And why did they lease it to them? To allow settlement from other people or tribes, is what they said. What were those other tribes? Those other tribes are these tribes: Kiowa, Comanche, Apache, Wichita, Caddo. Okay? Now, Caddo is a real tribe, but I know some of these, some bullshit too, to be honest with you. But Cheyenne and Arapaho. So what am I getting to? When we watch videos from these guys, and I might pull one up and try to see if I can find a clip, so that I need to clip it anyway. These people literally say, these tribes literally say, hey, we can't own the land. The government owns the land, is what they would say on the videos. It's really the United States government, but they parcel it out to us. That's what they were saying. But technically, the land is Chickasaw and Choctaw folks that has leased it to the government, who allowed them to settle there and call themselves Indians in Indian Territory. Okay? Cheyenne and Arapaho too. And I was looking up the thing about them is when you try to look up stuff about Kiowa Indians, you don't get anything in the newspapers until 1836. Literally, that's some of the first newspapers you're going to get when you type in the Kiowa Indians. 1836. All right. When you type in the Apache Indians, you don't really get anything to 1818, and that's just one. Really, it's 1835 is when you really start getting newspapers about these so-called Apaches. Not to say that they didn't exist so as much, but I'm going to make a case here in a second. This is Carlisle Indian School. Pueblo Indians. You don't really see anything about the Pueblo Indians until the 1830s. Okay? Now, in contrast, I haven't done this. Let's just take a look, though. I haven't done it, but I'm pretty sure it's going to prove me right. I could be proven wrong, though. I doubt it. If we were to look up Choctaw, what would do Chickasaw Indians? What's some of the earliest newspaper years you think we're going to see? 1793. Okay? And that's with the word Chickasaw and Indians together in the 1700s. Right? Let's take off the word Indians. And of course, they could have spelled it different before then. We just want to see if we're getting about the same thing. 1793 is first time you see them in the newspapers. Newspapers only go back to damn near. They go back decently far, but I don't know. It's somewhere in 16, late 1600. I think 1690. So let's say Choctaw. 1736, 1739, 1739. And you know why you would see more Choctaw before you would see Chickasaw? Because Choctaw and Chickasaw are the same thing. One of two brothers. Choctaw is the real nation. They split up, eventually made Chickasaw and Choctaw. But you're going to see Choctaw before you will see Chickasaw. And that's not even a bad thing. Another thing is you'll see Choctaw in its original spelling, the Chata, in the newspapers as well. You don't see it that early, but you see it in 1829. You'll see some of the spelling, though, of the original Chatas. Okay? There are some things in there. But when you talk about these other Indians, I mean, even with like your Seminoles, now they didn't form until late 1700s. But let's just see what we get. 1791. So what I'm getting to is we knew these are your five civilized tribes. These are the tribes that they forced a bunch of other tribes into, to be honest. So these are really groups of other tribes in many cases. Um, you got Seminole, we'll say Seminole Creek, Choctaw, Chickasaw, Seminole Creek, Choctaw, Chickasaw, Seminole, oh, Cherokee. And of course, Cherokee would be mentioned like a motherfucker. That should go way back. 1730s, 1730s, 30s, or whatever for the Cherokees. So, and these time frames make sense. They even tell a story. The Cherokees were some of the first people who met up with these folks. The Cherokees were over here on the East Coast. As these white folks came in, they met with some Cherokees. As they spread throughout, they dealt with some Seminoles. As they kept spreading throughout, they dealt with the Choctaws and the Chickasaws. What is it a coincidence? First newspapers is Cherokees. Second newspaper time frames you'll see is Seminoles. Third and fourth is going to be your Choctaws and Chickasaws, right? And if I typed in creeks, whatever, but creek could pull up a lot of shit because it could also just pull up a creek. So I didn't want to pull that one up. But these things help to tell a little bit of these stories. But okay, so we talked about the land patents. And we're talking about these five civilized tribes, these treaties. And we talked about how they leased land to these other folks for a particular reason. And why was I talking about that whole thing about how you don't see them? Because in many cases, most of these Arapaho Indians, most of these Apaches and stuff that now live over on here who cannot own the property, who cannot take that land, they are literally just given land by the government that's sitting on top of us, and the money is going to the Chickasaw. They're pretty much not real Indians. Most of these people are like Mexicans. Okay, most of them Mexicans, Filipinos, Asiatics, whatever the case may be. I don't say that about Wichita and Caddo. I do say that about these. And I need to look further into these. I'm just now starting to look into these. But that's the funny thing. Excuse me. The funny thing is, it's kind of hard to find a lot about them. Like, there's tons of shit I can find out about the Chickasaw, Choctaw. I mean, DeSoto got it about it in his books. Some of these voyagers talk about all of these folks, nigga. But I don't really see people talking about no goddamn Kiowa, Comanches, Apaches, or whatever. And it makes sense because those people apparently, right? Those people come from. Let me see if I took a screenshot of that map. Those people come from. Oh, I always got something, don't I? This side. So this is the United States, right? Mexico, or whatever. Those people come from this area. So it is fitting, because I'm trying to put together a story, right? It is fitting that you don't see white folks talking about them until the mid 1800s or so, because again, white folks was coming from this way. East Coast, hit the East Coast. Louisiana Purchase 1803, created all those states, right? Coming forward. Now they over here. The people that was over here were Spaniards, as well as the Chinese folks they done brought in, some of the Moors they done brought in, whatever other folks they done brought in as well. Filipinos, whatever, right? Because even Texas used to be called Nuevas Filipinas, New Philippines. But your Apaches, you can find Apaches on this old map. Like, this is Apache Tantos. So I'll say, okay, well, it's possible that the Apaches might have been here. But as I looked around, Apache, Guilenos, whatever, as I looked around, I don't see like Comanches, Kiowas, and some of the other ones that is stated. But what I want to get to is these people today look like goddamn Spaniards. And they want us to believe and forget that the Spaniards was over here. I don't know what happened to the real Apaches, or the real, any of the other things if they're real, but I don't know what happened to the real ones, but they damn sure don't look like no Spaniards, okay? And there's several of these people going around looking like Spaniards today, claiming to be these Apaches, and that's what we was watching. So, and I was pulling up several different maps to try to find these fools on the map. The Apaches I typically would see. I never really saw the other ones. Oh yeah, there it is. Apaches de Zila, whatever, right? Mexico, Nuevo Mexico, New Mexico area, next to California. Okay, so I was trying to look more for these folks. Like, okay, well, what kind of books can I find about them? What's some of the oldest books you can find out about these niggas in the archives? So you go to the archives and you'll say, Apache Indians. And then there's only 1,000, almost 2,000 books or things. They ain't all books. But then I'll shorten this to see what's some of the oldest things I can get past the 1900s. Because anything after 1900s, I don't really too much care about when dealing with some of these things. But I'll get the tail end of that 1900 time. And let's see there's only 93 things in here. And the oldest things you're going to find in here about the Apaches are going to come from, let's see, 1857. That's if it's about the Apaches. 1858. That's if it's about the Apaches. Captivity of the Oatman Girls and the narrative of something. That may not even be about the Apaches. As you can see, most of the literature is not that old. 1874, The Marvelous Country of the 3 Years of Arizona. Let's just see, 1874, if the book even mentions the Apaches in there. Apache. It could. Let's see. So we do. We got the history of the Apache tribe, actually. So we can find some stuff, but notice we don't see anything until around, what year is this? Is this book? Circa 1874 publication date, which is fine. I'm going to read a little bit through this and see what it talks about. But the reason why I don't like stuff past a certain date on some of this Indian shit, but is because at certain times, around this 1800 times, especially the mid 1800s, that's when a lot of this corruption is setting in. What corruption am I talking about? The splitting up of us as being the real Indians, the bringing in of other people to pretend to be like they was Indians, and then also the white folks getting into these tribes, splitting us out of it through treaties and all this other stuff, calling us freedmen, all this other stuff. So you got all these whammies, these Indian schools going on, plus they brought them into these Indian schools, and so we had separate Indian schools. It's a whole ordeal. And it's just everything's happening all in this 1800s, mostly in the mid 1800s to late. Some in the early 1800s, but it all kind of kicks off around the 1830 Dancing Rabbit Treaty, or really 1803 Louisiana Purchase, when the motherfuckers first start coming that way in mass. So, but this book mentions some stuff about the Apaches. But again, this book is a very old. I wonder what it would say about some things. I was curious. Is his home to the, what does it say? I seen something that said though, his welcome to the white man. Hold up. All these are explaining the chapters. It says one of the chapters, it says his welcome to the white man, the scalps, the soap plant, his welcome to the white man, his reception by the tribe, great Apache chief, whatever. So anyway, it's not about this. But let's see if I can find where they said they don't get to keep the land like that. Because this is really about the land today. Apache, Peter Santanello. Fort Apache. Yeah, it was these guys. The real bad ones. The horrible ones.
This is now.
Let me see if I can find that spot where he talked about the land. If I can recognize it. Oh, he has it in what's it called? Local bar, meat and Andrea, growing vegetable. I think he talked about the land in the beginning. I think he talked about it in the beginning. Hold on, let me see.
People that were down in the military were down in Port of Chuco. I asked him, is that true? He said, yes.
Do you love living here on the res?
Oh, yeah, I do. Oh, yeah.
Could you imagine living anywhere else?
No, I don't think so.
It's literally a reserved piece of land that is leased by a real tribe. So these, you got to think about it. Man, I wish I knew where it was. You got to think about it because I don't want to go through this whole thing again.
They're like, they're sick.
So far, you know what the North Koreans...
So for a while, this was one of our biggest main employment and source of income for the tribe, which was the FATCO, which stands for the Apache Timber Company. See, now it's kind of closed down.
Okay.
But part of it's still running. I may be probably 70 to 80% unemployment.
Okay.
Yeah,
Randy works here.
My
Still there.
Man, I don't know if I'm a...
this is of what you're going to put what you're doing right now, but how it's going to also.
Yeah, I should have got a clip of it last time when we was watching it, man. I'm kind of mad I didn't. I'm going to have to watch this whole damn thing just to find these clips. But they talk about in here that you can't own the land. I really can't. I was trying to see if something really stuck out to me. Let me just make sure I didn't record anything. I don't think I did, dude. I don't think I did. Let's see. What's this?
Yeah, my daughter was.
Oh, cool.
She was a Marine. She retired from there.
Okay, so a lot of you guys are going into the military here.
Oh, yeah. That's about the military thing. That's what I thought. I don't think I recorded the whole part about that part of the land. Now, we're going to keep talking about this land because I want to show how we get swindled out of this land through heirs property, which we have watched before, right? So there was a fire vid breakdown. I know, right? Peace. What up, boss? Watch y'all step, guys. Watch what step? What we gotta watch? Ain't no steps worth to watch when we telling the truth. Ain't no steps to watch. We just gotta watch. Fighting for a lost cause, spreading propaganda. If reading government documents is spreading propaganda, then the government is spreading propaganda. You realize that, right? You realize that's what we're doing? And you realize I'm reading government patents that I had in my goddamn paperwork that you won't get. You know what? That's what it is. Let me show you. You wish you had something like that, huh? Yeah. Let me let y'all get a look at it. To the natives that's in this bitch that's mad to the hoe. You ain't gonna never get one. You can't get one. You can't have land on your land because it's not your land. You from Asia. Go get some Asian land. You better go get some of that land in Asia, boy. They got plenty of it. It's cold. Cold in the motherfucker up there, boy. And you might get put in one of them goddamn factories. You might get put in one of them goddamn meat factories. All right? You better fuck around. You better watch your step. Ain't gonna get us talking about that propaganda. Now he turns into a kid. No, you're a kid. You came in with kid-ass responses to a grown-ass, scholarly-ass video with primary sources from the government and direct accounts from people from the goddamn Reds telling us that they can't own land. Is that if I'm spreading propaganda, then Peter Santinello's goddamn spreading propaganda. If I'm spreading propaganda, the bitch ass niggas on these reses is spreading propaganda, you dumb motherfucker. Okay? Because y'all delusional, but hey, no, you delusional because you wish you could get one of these. You see, I could pull that up. All you can do is pull up a res card. That ain't gonna do nothing but get you to the res. But you know what? Who owns that res? Who leased out land to the res? It was the real Indians. The real Indians who had the land first leased it out and gave it to a bunch of bitches. Yeah, y'all needed somewhere to live. You couldn't figure it out on your goddamn own. You couldn't figure it out on your own, bitch. You couldn't figure it out. So the government had to lease it from us and give it to you for free. And then y'all got so damn drunk on that motherfucker, they had to make it a dry county. Take the goddamn beer out of there. But you somehow still get drunk. I don't understand that either. I don't understand that either. Y'all get drunk in a dry county. Who gets drunk in a dry county? Damn, you got to go all the way out the way to get drunk, nigga. What the hell? That means you driving drunk. Y'all sad. Everything's sad about y'all. And you wish you had some land patents, but you don't. You wish. And let me show you this too, ma'am, or sir, or whatever the fuck you are. We'll type in heirs property. Oops. Heirs property. I want to ask you a question. Now, this right here is assigned to heirs forever and ever, and never, ever. Andre 3000. Okay. Heirs. And this is property assigned to heirs. This is what you call heirs property assigned to heirs. You ain't got one of these, right? So, how come this heirs property situation, they're only talking about black folks? Yeah, I'm spreading propaganda. Showtime is too. Let's go and look at a quick little whatever. A little part right here.
It seems like it disproportionately affects African Americans who.
Why would it disproportionately affect African American with heirs property? Wait a minute. Let's also Google this. Who owns the most heirs property in America? I gotta type the word HIERS. Or I should say, who has? African Americans, disproportionately owned by African Americans. Mm-hmm. Yeah, Google for the win. Google is for the win. Mm-hmm. You see this? You see these things right here? There is no .gov source, right? Heirs property landowners, farmers.gov. Heirs property landowner. Who do they have right there? Who did they decide to put on the front page of the .gov source on farmers.gov about heirs property? Why did they choose this nigga in the horse? Huh? Why do y'all think they chose him? Heirs property. Farmers.gov about heirs property. Okay. About heirs property. Heirs property is family-owned land that is jointly owned by descendants of a deceased person whose estate did not clear probate. The descendants of or heirs have, now they're talking about, they're just going to reference it to not clearing probate, but that doesn't necessarily matter because we got patents, right? But heirs property, descendants or heirs have the right to use the property, but they do not have a clear or marketable title to the property since the estate issues remain unresolved. Land is passed down without a will or deed to prove ownership. Why do you not need a will or deed to pass it down? Because it goes to the heirs regardless by law, okay? Because they had a patent. Each successive generation generally results in more heirs being added to the land inheritance, the absence of the deed, or will become blah, 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 blah. So technically, this isn't really talking about the patents. It talks about the heirs' property. But patents are heirs' property, right? But what if you have property and you don't know that you have the patent and you have somebody take it from you? Oh, well, that's what they're talking about today. Let's keep going. But, well, we got the patent. So if we got the patents, of course, it says what happens if you got the patent? you will become let's look at that one more time just so these fools can, see it in real time. Land of the 5 civilized tribes. Anybody, where it says right here, persons entering Indian territory as settlers and claiming land under the public laws of the United States become intruders and trespassers. Okay, so but these people must not know they have patents. But I'll show you.
The way that this system is set up, it seems like it disproportionately affects African Americans who, through legal trickery and threats of violence and lynching and whatnot, land has been taken from them.
Well,
you see what I'm saying?
I hadn't lynched anybody like these.
You would.
but and people like me, I'm at least nefarious. I'm an opportunist. I'm a racist. I've been called everything in the world. No, I'm not a racist. I don't go after certain things just because you're black or you're Asian or you what.
You going after the
land.
Why would he be going after the land, which is ultimately going after a bunch of black folks? Well, as we showed you, it's the black folks who got all that land in heirs property. Let's keep going.
So if everybody in the world could sell a piece of land to their brother or their sister or their son, and nobody could build factories, nobody could do anything. It would always be out of commerce and never be able to use. There's no remedy to get it back into commerce. And
do you think it's fair?
It has to be. It has to be fair.
Jim Steele wasn't involved in the forced sale of the Lewis property. James Tuggle, the developer who was, let Greg stay on the land, but his mother decided to leave.
So I wanted to let me show where it what happens. I'm gonna show you what it says happens with the heirs property. It's got like a little breakdown of it right here.
Type property.
And who would inherit and manage the property.
When my grandmother passed away, it was left equally to her descendants. So that essentially created heirs property.
Heirs property. On the most basic level, what is it?
Heirs property is communal type property, where your ancestors would have purchased the land, and once they passed away, it transfers to the next generation and their descendants. It's fractional ownership, a property that could be owned by 200 people. Any one of those heirs could sell their percentage. That new owner can go to the court and say, well, we can't agree on how to manage this land.
And force the rest of the folk to sell it even if they don't want to?
Yes. And so it was essential for us to move it out of heirs property status. And that process costs from probate to title clearing close to about $10,000.
Wait, so you own the land, but then you had to pay $10,000 to own the land again?
Exactly. Because of the cost, a lot of families don't clear title to their property. And so then it keeps them in a vulnerable economic.
Now, I don't like what she's promoting there. I think we need to look even further into it because they're trying to promote, and that's the tricky thing about Vice. They're trying to promote to have you move the property out of heirs property status, which means it won't go to your heirs forever and forever and forever. Well, while it may alleviate you from the issue of somebody selling it and it getting sold off, which it really can't be sold. So if it gets sold, it's technically an invalid sale, in my opinion. Like because the reason why these people are getting this land back is because you got a patent on it, which means it can't be sold. Okay, means it's yours. Period. Now you can lease it, whatever the case may be. But I need to further look into that. But technically, from what I've heard, you're not supposed to be able to sell it per se. So I think these people just must not know about patents, and that's what I've heard too. I've heard even some white folks. There was a video. It's this white dude. I wish I knew where it was. He was like in a room, like in a little. He was just talking to some people, but he was like, the day that black people in America learn about patents, land patents, is a day that basically should be kind of fucked up. I can't remember how he put it, but basically they're afraid that if we learn about these land patents and we figure out that we really these landowners and we need to be collecting on all these folks on these land masses that were given to us long ago. But there's people that are on them, right? There's got to be a way that these people got on these lands without having a patent, which would make them intruders and trespassers, right? According to the law, if that's your land and you have a patent, they would be intruding and trespassing on your land. But what do you do from there? How did they even get it in the first place? It's a big question. It's a conundrum. I don't know if there's a clause that if maybe y'all done forgot about this damn patent, and if the land's done sat there for a while, and then basically almost like squatter laws, you fucking go over there and just say you get it. I don't know. I don't know what it is. I'm gonna be looking into it though. But I do know that you don't want to take it out of heirs property status. I doubt that that's what you want to do. I'm pretty sure you want to keep it in heirs property status and just educate yourself and your family on what heirs property status is, and also, obviously, I'm running out of lighter fluid, and educate yourself on what heirs property is, and maybe get you a lawyer to give you whatever kind of ironclad language needed whenever people approach you about your land that you got. But okay, so I want to show you too. So we saw what heirs property is. Let me let you see what that one little part real quick, because then I'm gonna show you a Creek Indian chief who kind of did the same thing.
But their will didn't clearly identify a single person who would inherit and manage the property.
When my grandmother passed, it is communal type property where your ancestors would have purchased the land, and once they passed away, it transfers to the next generation and their descendants. It's fractional ownership. A property.
Oh, and that's what I was saying in this document where it says partitions. Where did it say? It says something about land partitions and descendants. No land in territory. Treaties saying where is the patent? No land. I can't remember where I saw that. But somewhere down here we saw, or it was either here or maybe I was looking at I was looking somewhere. But distribution, but basically it says something about the descendants and how it partitioned and all that stuff. And so that's basically the same thing. So let's say your ancestor back then got like 80, 90 acres, 160 acres. That's a big ass piece of land. Well, over generations, you all would increase your family size, and each time the family size increases, the partition of that land is equaled out to the amount of people it is. Now, one may say, hey, ain't there going to eventually be like no land for nobody? Well, you also got to think some people pass as well. So when people pass, then of course their land portions come back. You know what I'm saying? So it depends on how big you're multiplying. But also 160 acres, you know how many homes you can get on 160 acres? Let's just Google it. Let's just get a quick Google term of it. What are the average amount of homes that could be built on 160 acres? You Google, scholar. You just Google everything. Let's see here. 320 single-family homes in a dense suburban development, as many as 1,500 apartment units in a high-rise urban area. So, I mean, 320 single families. If you started off with a single descendant from like, from back in the like 1700s, and now your family's done grown, quite a bit. I mean, you would still need more than 320 single families, and then some people would have passed away. You know what I'm saying? I don't. I'm trying to think. Would you reach that max on 160 acres? It depends. Like if y'all having like 10 to 15 kids every time, but if y'all having like 2, 3, 4 kids every time go around, I don't think so. I think it'd be regulated after a while. You'll have a good amount of attrition, as well as you have a good amount of people. Hold on, y'all gonna let TB up here for a moment, then we'll get back into the Giz name. Hold up, boss man. Let me plug this in. Whoop.
Great topic, my G.
What up, boss man? Hold on.
Heirs property. That's what's up, man. That's like the icing on the cake. So if you look up most of the recent heirs property laws, it'll show you that in the states have laws that allow one single person to sell the property. The feds have laws that say nobody can sell the property unless they're in contact with the whole family. So you got heirs, you got I think it's called I forgot what it's called, but you got federal laws from 2016 to today about heirs property. So if you type up federal heirs property laws, you probably will see a couple of the maps that's like got Indian territory, old Indian territories mapped out.
Should I put map?
No, just laws. As you see, there's no single heirs property law. And if you keep going down, it shows you the heirs property and investments. Yeah, that HR 1640 is one. Now that's a good one. You should type that from Congress. Tap that one. Now, and if people really read this, it'll tell you that these lands are HUD approved, all of that stuff. So people be wondering how they can go up and get housing in Section 8, but how they can get public housing faster than they can get Section 8 is because public housing is under HUD. HUD is a part of the same bureau that Indian Affairs is in. So
I've been
these
hearing that.
uniform partitions, these uniform partitions is basically telling folks like, hey, if you ain't in contact with all your family, you can't sell their property. Because if somebody come up 10 years later saying this is my land, then it's gonna be a problem. And that's why it's called heirs estate.
And so this supersedes state law. So are you saying that like the way that some of these people are getting around it is in the state, they're buying the land over the
Yeah,
people and really undercutting the federal law, and you're gonna have to go to federal law in order to try to
get your
alleviate
land back,
that?
bro. Because see, all the states are entities of the federal government. When they signed on to join the union, they became corporations of the federal government. So when they break a federal law, they actually violate, and that's why the feds can still hit all the tobacco shops, all the new ganja shops, and all that stuff. That's why they still raid them joints like it ain't nothing. That's why the feds been raiding churches lately. Cause see, it's titles, deeds, and personal family information that these people been holding for so long of people, and then they've been erasing on people, putting white history on it. You know what I'm saying? So once you read this, say that one, go back out. There's gonna be like a couple more that you're gonna want to look at, cause it's gonna go down some more. It's gonna break a few things down to you. All right, so the Land Trust Alliance organization, that's one of them you definitely gonna wanna yeah, cause it's UPHPA, bro. And like everybody say the same thing, but the different ways that they put it gonna give you information that's gonna say, well, if heirs property rock like this, and it's saying that poor white people in the lower Appalachians and black folks had all the land, but somehow most of the land going back to black folks, then you read the historical truth about how black folks was getting the land from their white slave masters. Those were their fathers. or the people they was raised by. You know what I'm saying? Because a lot of these people were indentured to these people for life. And the reason why they work, because them people couldn't take care of themselves in this world. So you might be operating on somebody's land, but you might have a deal with them about that land. So you pay to be there. And if people know the terms of a tenant also has interest in the land just as well as the landowner. So if a tenant is living on the land and the landowner passes, a tenant can actually end up owning that land based on value and what they call sentimental value, bro. Sentimental value is how most of our people lost their land.
What's sentimental value?
Like basically saying something is precious to you, like it's all you know. You don't know nothing else. Shit like that. So you see what it say, landowner unalives estate. The real estate passes to the landowner's heirs as tenants in common under state law. And see, a lot of these states erase their common law.
I do see that.
So, so tenant and commons are vulnerable because an individual tenant can force a partition. Too often, real estate speculators acquire a small share of heirs' property in order to fill a partition action to force a sale. Using this tactic, investors can acquire the entire parcel for a price well below the fair market value and deplete a family's inherited wealth in the process. And that's why these heirs property laws start coming out at hand, not allowing people to sell unless they know their whole family. Because your land could be fractured off 99 times.
Now, when they sell it, if you do, is that, or do you know, like with the whole thing with the patent, if they sell it, do you still get the opportunity to sell it if you have a patent?
Mm-hmm.
And you pretty
Still get
much lose your
opportunity to
rights
sell it.
after that?
Yeah, basically. And that's why it's important that people turn in their genealogy to the county clerk's office. A lot of people don't trust them folks, but these are the same folks that already got all your family paperwork. So if they wanted to do something to you, they would do something to you. It's not like these folks don't know everything about you. They do. They know your past, and they know more of your past than you do. And that's why you get treated the way you do. Because all they got to do is type your name in the system, and everything about your family going to start connecting itself to each other. From your mom to your dad to their parents and their parents and their parents and their parents. The system is that updated to the fact that they already have niggas' genealogies back to 1870. So people got to start paying attention to, all right, who who allowed these people to build a police station right here on this side of town when we know that thin lines were drawn in certain areas, like say for instance down here in Augusta, an old black man owned all the land where the police had their buildings at. He passed away. Now nobody owns his property, but nobody actually knows his name either. So if you was some kin to him, you couldn't even go back and claim the property. Cause what's his name? You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But everybody knows that he rented that land to the county jail. So don't ever think they don't got the records. The point of the matter is, are you willing to keep the records going?
I see.
Cause see, it's our generation that's the scary part of the generation. Cause see, if we cut off the ties, then that means a group of kids gonna have to come in 2 generations later and redo everything. You know how much trauma and trouble they gonna go through?
Well, it's already hell.
Point exactly. So as we know that they got the records, and we know that we have to keep the genealogy going. That's our job to correct the genealogy and make sure that it's on standpoint. Because a lot of us share grandfathers, or we either share grandmothers, or aunts, or uncles somewhere down the line that tie us close to a relative who's sitting somewhere in the middle who got all our property. So the last end of all the conflicts is gonna really be between us. because you're gonna have people that don't want to deal with it and people that do. That's why this argument, like about what we be teaching, that's why it be all over the board. Because you got people that believe they family ain't never had nothing, then they gonna find out they do and gonna be mad because they ain't never known all their life. They gonna be ready to sell if they broke.
Yeah. And I don't know if all the land pieces that I got in my genealogy, if they've been sold off and if there's any kind of rights still left on them. I know it's a path that I want to go down and find because it could be something real easy that we just ain't done that will get us right back where we need.
So if you looking at it right, it tells you, it says that UpHIPAA provides a series of simple due process protections, notice appraisals, rights of refusal, and if the other co-tenants choose not to exercise their right and a sale is required, a commercially responsible sale supervised by the courts to ensure all parties receive their fair shares of the proceeds. So basically, you got people land that done been sold off. None of the family done got paid. That's the problem with the United States right now. How much land done been sold and families ain't been paid? These counties got your documents. The Land Bureau got your documents. You won't do the genealogy and you won't take your genealogy to the courthouse. Once you do that, they got to tie you to the people and put those records together. They cannot deny them. The point of the matter is you're going to pay $30,000-$40,000 to get the land back. Probably more than that, depending on what type of business being handled on the land. So 9 times out of 10, they gonna want you to make a land leasing agreement. And I'm just being honest with you, cause that's what it's all about. Them people needed people to lease land to them so they can do business on. They had
That's
no
kind of
way in
what I was
Europe to do
saying.
business.
Like that's basically like if you find out the land is yours and there's already people occupied on it, you kind of got to lease it out to them and just take a fee. Is that what that is?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
That's really what they want you to do. Cause you see how people be having these beachfront properties and they end up selling them back. Cause they ain't got nobody to maintenance them beachfront properties and they can't keep people off on once they own them. And the government is not going to want to do business with you about the beachfront property unless you give it back. Because they need the shores to bring in boats. See, if you take the shorelines from them, they can't bring in no boats. That means they lose commerce. Ports, all kind of other places in America do not belong to them.
Yeah, that's
So,
big.
it's that's how that story goes. So, and then you get to hearing people sold those property backs to those people. I'm really doubting that part. Like, I don't think they sold it back. I think they actually did a lease back. Because the thing is about the property, the corporation can't own the United States ain't got no right to own no land, bro. United States is not a person.
So is that why they
So
either
as
give
soon
it
as
to
you
them to hold in trust, or they give it to them, or they lease it to the kind of like what I was saying earlier, the Choctaw Nation, they leased land to the United States, and they take a fee off of it. They actually, it was like say they leased it to them for like a
right,
certain amount of money, but then they get interest off of their money every year.
that's the point, and that's what everybody really be doing when they sell their land commercially. Do people not get it's a commercial sale.
See if I
You know
can.
what a commercial sales is? That means you still own the all out right to it. Like that's just like the water gun, for instance, right? It was a commercial sale to the water gun. It got sold in every store. So once it's a commercial sale, that means any type of business can be done on the land. And you can't stop it. But that don't mean you don't own it. You never supposed to get them your title and deed. You supposed to get them a leasing agreement, bro.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, here it is right here. It was in that same document. It says trust funds of the five civilized tribes. It says the total amount of trust funds arising from the sale of lands under treaties with the laws of the United States, the property of the five tribes is about $8 million, and the annual interest on this paid by the United States is $413,000. A portion as follows, and it shows how the people get their money, how much principal and interest. So it's almost like they sold the land, but they didn't take the full amount of money. The government keeps the money, but they just pay them interest as they invested or whatever. And it says the interest on the principal of these funds is placed by the United States semi-annually with the United States Assistant Treasurer at St. Louis, Missouri, to the credit of the Treasurer of the nation. The expenditure of these funds is entirely under the control of the nation and its council, which the nations being these Chickasaw nations. It says the above $413,000 received from the United States each year, together with the fees of the license from licenses and permits, enables the several tribes or nations to exist without levying a tax upon their people. So they getting paid off of not only, and that's money from some of the land that they sold off, but that's different from the land that I saw from this Cornell Law document that was wherever the hell it is, right here. No, that's not it. It's somewhere. Oh, right here. It says by the treaty, the tribes leased to the United States all the portion of their land, common territory west to the 98th degree of the west longitude of the settlement of Wichita and other tribes of Indians. So the leased territory, so that became that leased territory. So they making money also just by leasing, and that's kind of what I was thinking. Like, I guess if they got the patents, then they can lease it out to the United States. Like you said, they can't own land, but they'll lease it from them. And after they lease it, then they'll settle some people on their reservations or do business or commerce or whatever the hell I guess they want to do with it.
So when people be like, what happened to all the tribes in Oklahoma? If you really pay some attention, you go to Oklahoma, and all of those areas ain't nothing but niggas. No matter which territory you go to in that Indian territory, the majority of them people are black folks. All over that whole Indian territory.
Yeah, that's where I'm from. The only people that I've seen to try to claim the Native American spot. I used to be kind of cool with them, but they look like Mexicans. And what's funny is they lived on the south side with the Mexicans, but at the time they had me fooled. You know what I'm saying? I thought they was, oh man, you rapping, you an indigenous rapper, not indigenous, native rapper, whatever. He was all acting like he was all b-boy, this, that, and the shit. And I'm now look back at that whole situation back then. That was like 15 years ago. I'm like, that motherfucker right there. Nigga had me fooled. Fucking Mexican had me fooled, man. Him and his brother. In fact, I got a photo of him. I got a little video of them motherfuckers, man. But you can say what you gotta say while I pull this damn thing up. I know I got that shit on here. Latest.
So yeah, man, it's just, folks be want to argue land and rights, but no Native American. I'm gonna put it to you like this, right? Women rights and civil rights were first for the indigenous people. Why are there no white civil rights or no black civil rights, but there's Indian civil rights and black folks created them? That's the only question that really we should be asking. Why did black folks have to create Indian civil rights? Because the Native Americans ain't have a move until the Black Panther Party helped them have a movement in the 1970s. Before then, whatever happened in 1968, that was after the unaliving of Martin Luther King. And people don't pay that no attention. You don't see Martin hanging out with no natives.
I ain't never seen that. I watched a lot of his old black and white speeches and footage and all. I ain't never seen him walking around with nobody like that. No Mexican.
So why did the Native American AIM movement start after his unalivement? Is the question. Why did they take over the BIA 4 years after his unalivement? Is the bigger question. And why are they the majority of the employees in the BIA? Think about it, bro.
Yeah.
He paid the Indian Civil Rights Bill. The Civil Rights Bill was passed due because he was unalive, right? Now, in whatever case, the Native Americans should have been the people on the upfront because that bill is specifically about the Indians. It don't say Native Americans. It says Indian Bill of Rights. And see, this is where the Native Americans give other people rights to use our rights. When they say we are not Indians, but then they don't have no Indian Civil Rights Act amongst them, if you understand what I'm saying. The five civilized tribes got a Civil Rights Act, and it's all about the Negroes. The Negroes have a Civil Rights Act, and it's all about the Indians. Can the two make it make sense to me? I just want you to sit back and really just place that down. Because you can, matter of fact, before I go, bro, pull up the Oklahoma Civil Rights Movement.
Oklahoma Civil Rights Movement.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have to type it there. All right.
Now check this out. It said Oklahoma was significant in the civil rights movement through pioneers of nonviolent protesters, particularly the 1958 Cats Drug Store sit-in
Man, you know
led
what's
by
funny? Hold on,
Charles.
man. Real quick. This is just one of those amazing synchronicities that the universe sends because literally I was talking to my mom yesterday, day before yesterday. And again, we from Oklahoma, and she was just like, "Oh, Sam, you just got to see this." Clara Looper. She was telling me how Clara Looper is our cousin, and she was like, "Sam, you don't know that they have a whole new display of downtown of statues with her. She's a statue. So literally, this is crazy. You just brought this up. But go ahead."
Bro, I done told you I know you. You better learn something about me. But
Yeah.
hit the see more real quick, hit the show more real quick so they can just catch the AI scan, right? So if you paying some attention, even in 1950 was a crucial movement. So you see the McLaren, right? McLaurin versus Oklahoma State Region, and the courts ruling that the condition of segregation education at the University of Oklahoma deprived George W. McLaurin of his rights of equal education. This case established a legal proceeding that segregation was inherently unequal, which made the later Brown versus Board of Education ruling possible. You see how they kept this out? Because all of these people come from Indian ancestry that was in Oklahoma. And guess what they classified as?
Mm-hmm.
Oh. So now, with the point of people know how Brown versus the Board of Education became possible, it was because of the Indian or the civil rights movement amongst the so-called Indian slaves of Oklahoma that expanded down south. So when you see the Indian Civil Rights Bill or Indian Civil Rights Act, that's to the people in Arkansas and Oklahoma, Missouri, all the other people that was in their lands, the Osage, and all of those people's lands, those rights were for them too. And if you pull that back up, you will see all of those tribes in the same territories around the late 1800s doing the Dawes Road Commission Act was doing its heaviest bidding. 1906, 1907, dissolution of the five civilized tribes. Pull it up.
I was just looking at that yesterday, actually, if not this morning
Oh, you
too.
did? Oh, you showed it to people yesterday?
Uh, you know what, we talked about it yesterday because hold on, dissolution of the five civilized tribes. Because I was telling them, I was like, yeah, all of a sudden after these white folks get here, they put themselves into the Congress, they intermarried into the tribes. I showed them that whole situation. And once they've intermarried they go through this whole process, make these 1866 treaties to all of a sudden cut niggas' ties off completely to the tribe. Now y'all some freemen and not the real Indians. And then 4 or 5 years later, this is dissolved the whole government. Only to bring it back sometime later, in the
Yeah, the Curtis Act.
1900s.
That's what it is. It starts
Mm-hmm.
from the Curtis Act. But put in Desolation of the Five Civilized Tribes, 1907. or oh six. It's one of the others. But see, that's when they hit them the hardest. That's when you see all the Choctaw, Cherokee, Creek, and Chickasaw rejection papers. See, people don't know why these folks got rejected because your family's government was literally dissolved and somebody else recreated it.
And that's what. And I didn't think about it. Like, I didn't know. I didn't think about how that affected the those decisions and stuff like that. But I did know that they dissolved it and then they recreated it. And I was like, the only way you would do that is, you know, to get rid of the old remnants of the real tribe and then just incorporate a new tribe. And it's not really the real. It's not really the real thing. It's the fake thing, but it's the new thing. But I didn't think about how that would affect people's. Now I see now people are trying to go to the corporation in a sense or the new
Right.
government to be
Federally
accepted, but they've
recognized.
been rejected now.
But see, look. This is what's gonna make this the most interesting part. Remember when we talked about the McKinney Rolls when we had them jumped all the way to 1817 with the Cherokees and ended up with the Choctaw McKinnon Rolls from the late 1800s all the way to 1914 when they finally settled the situation. It showed that the majority of the Choctaw Indians never left Mississippi, and the ones that was living on reservations, that they descended from other Indians who were not a part of that nation, and that the real Choctaw Indians was living amongst the county, and that they never gave up their Choctaw citizenship, and that they were not U.S. or state citizens, and that's why they don't help nobody from the Delta all the way back around through the lower parts of Mississippi. You know how many people don't know that?
Mm, I didn't know it.
Why you think them people have to do everything for themselves? They don't get no government assistance down there.
Mm,
People better do some real research on Mississippi, bro. Like nigga, like man, bro, like the Yazoos of the Delta. The Yazoo Land Lottery Act tell you the whole story about what happened to them people. But people don't pay no attention how the Yazoo had land from Alabama all the way to Arizona in the Montezuma places.
mm,
The word zoo itself should mean something to people, but we ain't gonna even go all the way there about that word and that quote. The Stongo family, his ski. And so, you know, when we start looking at the rejection papers that happened from 1893 or 98 all the way to 1914, you know those were the real Indians that never left their land. All the Indians that rejected never left their land. Who can show that we got Indian rejection papers for full bloods and for freedmen's?
yeah,
How many
yeah.
people done did that? Oh, my folks got rejected out their tribe. Because the government that they were a part of got dissolved. It's called the Dissolution of the Five Civilized Tribes through the Curtis Act. And then you got the Burks Act. You got like, bro, oh yeah. Shout out to Metal for that because you got the Burks Act too. You should pull that one up. Like the Burks Act gonna break something else down about how they desolated tribes, bro.
Hey, is
You
it
can pull
Burke?
up the Mattapoisett.
Burke? E?
Mm-hmm.
Just Burke's Act. Burke's Act of
Mm-hmm.
1906 was a U.S. law that amended the Dawes. Yeah, I was just looking at something that talked about it was amended. I was like, when did the Dawes got amended? And I was literally just looking into something like that earlier. I bet it's
That's
on
how
one of my
we
little
got it.
tabs. We right on the same frequency because
That's
I was
how
just
we
like,
got
that's
erased.
crazy.
But that's how our people history got erased through assimilation. And Native Americans became who they became. So, because you got the boarding school history, but see, what you got to show is that they was assimilated into indigenous culture, and we were assimilated into U.S. culture. So, in order to keep Indians under their rule, they taught people how to be Indians and how to fight like Indians,
Hmm.
and they humbled us and put us to work.
Yeah, we just went to like manual labor schools and church. Like I was telling
And
people,
it's
they
telling you,
didn't
it's
tell us
telling
we was
you.
Africans, but they just told us we was. They just kind of, I guess, kind of put us through just basically being Christians and going to work, stuff like that. But my bad, would you?
But see, it's telling you, it basically saying the Burke Act 1906, the dissolution of the Curtis Act from 1898 to 1914. Right in 1906, the assimilation of Native Americans. Now, how many people got rejection papers from their tribes? It was a forced assimilation, an accelerated assimilation, because there are documents that clearly tell you if the Cherokees or the Creeks would have left their lands would have left value because none of the people that was on the lands could farm. So you see everything that you teaching. Only reason you sometimes be feeling like you have to jump here and jump there is because of the acts that was put out that left gaps in the history of our people.
Well, yeah, because it always
So now that you
once you feel like you got like a little range of like I feel like what's happening, but then you notice, okay, I'm looking at this time and this happened, this time. It's like then you find that something in between that don't really change the course. That's been happening. That's why I was telling people. There's a lot of corruption that happened in these 1800 times. There's so many different things and so many places to look at. It's just crazy. But yeah, one back, keep going.
I'm trying to pull something up real quick, but yeah, like um something else happening. I know they had a Supreme Court case about this situation that was going on. Hold on, Curtis. Let me type it in real quick.
But it takes a lot to really try to detach the people. I mean, you think it's like you got treaties. They had to redo treaties in 1866 purposely with every tribe to try to label people as freedmen and African descent in order to trick them out of different things. But even though they did it in 1866, it wasn't until really the dogs rose and all that to where they done signed up for the damn freedman shit and then was tricked even more so out of their inheritance or tribes or got way less lands instead of 160 you got 40 acres. Seminoles didn't get the payout money, and they would always use the excuse that you was a slave or at least you was a paper slave on paper. And by the time they doing the commission in the late 1800s to 1900s, the treaties had already been ratified and all, I mean done and all that in 1866. So I don't even know if they even knew what the hell they were signing up for, or even knew that the whole freedmen legislation got put through. But it was Albert Pike that put that shit through with the other Masons who were Masons, who were chiefs of the tribes who are all Masons. It's just so it's a ton of corruption, just tons of
Yeah, like
corruption.
I definitely want you to pull up in the Supreme Court of the United States, the city of Tulsa applicant versus Justin Hooper responded. This is a Curtis Act case from 1898. They just put the documents out on that Jane in July 24, 2023, bro. It's gonna break down a few things to you too, because they got a couple of cases. They got Brendale versus the Confederate tribes. They got Devers versus United States, Duro versus Rihanna, Ex parte Webb, Henson versus Tan Sander Customs US Incorporated, Hogner versus State. You got Pickup versus District Court of Nottoway County. You got Oklahoma versus Costra, Horata, Nicholas versus Stite. You got McKirk versus Oklahoma. You got Lucas versus Townsend. You got Stevens versus Cherokee Nation. Rockster versus Goldberg. Gucci versus Campock Sayapin Ltd. It is going to tell you about the statutes of the Curtis Act, the General Allotment Act of 1887, the Act of June 10, 1898, the Act of March 1st, 1901, the Act of July 1st, 1902, Oklahoma Enabled Act, 1906, and that's what basically helped Oklahoma become a state and put all the Indians who were assimilated under statehood.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. and that
So
really kind of
you
gave me
take
the
those.
overview of like the master plan. I felt like there was like the master plan. Like they forced a bunch of people, and they promised everybody Oklahoma to be Indians, and then once they forced them all to there, then they just said, "Hey, let's make this a state and just fuck over your whole jurisdiction altogether." It was like, man, it was just
But
kind of
you see what,
crazy.
bro put in the comments. That's a real case. Like, and it said that Oklahoma was still Indian reservation, and that's why people were still running out west to Oklahoma,
Mm.
even in those years. You know what I'm saying? And so when you go through those, right, a lot of it gonna bring up the Muskogee reservations in Tulsa.
Thanks,
So when you
Jesse. May
start going through
appreciate
those,
that. Sorry.
so when you start going through those Muskogee reservations, you find out, you keep going back in history through newspaper articles, you find out that all the Muskogee Indians were niggas. So you go to Tulsa, they tell you that having people that was in Tulsa were Cherokee freedmen people. Those Cherokee freedmen were mainly of Muskogee blood. These were people from the Upper Creek regions that had shipped themselves from out of like Cartersville, Rome, Georgia, Tryon, Georgia, Calhoun, and all these little places like that. You know, Gwinnett County, Cherokee County, Bartow County, Cobb County. And a lot of them people literally came out of Fulton as well. That's why I be telling people from Atlanta, you are tripping when you say you from Georgia. Because you throw away your whole Indian identity by saying you from Georgia. You let Indian territory be annexed by letting Atlanta be the capital of Georgia. Atlanta should be the capital of Georgia's Indian territory if you're going to do it like that. And
Yeah,
Rome
for
should
real.
be a part of that capital. Rome, Georgia should be a part of Atlanta, Georgia, if that's going to be the case.
Thank you, Jesse. May appreciate all that. She came over here. She said she came in to gift and from me on Liberals panel. I appreciate that. I'm gonna follow her back. It's the first time I can remember seeing your face. I don't know if I seen you before, but I damn sure appreciate you. My bad. Keep
See,
going.
you know the good thing about John Ross is go. Hey, can you pull up that access genealogy jank we were looking at about the Cherokees the other day?
Yeah. What are you? What was it? Wait. I know. I think I saved it down here.
I know it's Cherokee Towns access genealogy. Some damn, I can't even think what it is right now. It ain't a brain fog. It's just something ain't clicking. But
Let's see. I got so many damn
mm,
tabs. It could be down the tab line here.
they put Cherokee history access genealogy. That's the only thing I can about tell you to put in.
Cherokee
It might
history
pop right
access
back up.
genealogy.
Yeah.
I be trying not to type. Let's see. I forgot what we typed in to get to that because we were talking about a particular topic with the
You
Cherokee.
gotta put access. You gotta put access before genealogy.
Oh yeah, probably will. History of the
There you
Cherokee
go.
Indians.
You got history of the Cherokees, Cherokee tribe. Like all of this is some of the most interesting stuff you're gonna ever read. Cause see, like this ain't the one we was looking at the other day, but this is just a breakdown of how they saying adoption of his constitution, immigrates, treaties, much more, a handful of black and white photographs or whatever. When you really be saying that, they be trying to tell you these are pictures of black and white folks. Ain't no Native Americans in the pictures. So they just discolor the pictures, period, to literally make them black and white. Scroll down real quick. Because they've always had photo photography.
Have a good day at work, Jesse May. Appreciate you so much coming in. He said scroll down and work.
Okay, so this
Let
ain't
me
the
get
one
out.
we was on yesterday.
Yeah, let me go back.
All right, you gonna have to click back out of that one. Go to that one right there. It's one of these mugs.
Let's see.
This ain't the one either. But it's gonna tell you a lot about John Ross.
Okay, I would have clicked it before, so it's probably this one right here. Yeah, yeah, because I clicked that one before. Who
Yeah, who
really are
really
the
are the
Cherokees?
Cherokee?
Yeah.
So you found out about the Rika Hocken Indians, the Chalaquis. You found out about the Westos. and how slave raiding tribes became Cherokee tribes. The Rican Hawkins were always by Augusta in the Savannah River area, just like the Uchis were. So when you see Rika Hawkin towns from old DeSoto maps become Cherokee towns, then you find out there were a people called Rika Hawkin for real. So what I be trying to get people to understand is if Cherokees didn't come out to after the Yamasee War, then who are the Cherokees? They are people that come from ancient, I don't want to say Muskogee because a lot of them people were Yuchi. A lot of them people were Rika Hawkin. They were Westo. They had different names, but Cherokee was a nation of basically old abandoned Yuchi towns with small remnants of people who became one big ass band of people.
See, I hadn't got up to that side of the north or the east yet with my studies, but that's really kind of the similar thing that happened down there with the Geechee's further down where it really said King Dathar reigned over 500 tribes in the kingdom of Chikora, or they also call it the Kusabo kingdom. And then, so you got people, and Kusabo is a combination of two words, Kusa, which is usually meant like black, like strong and black, and Shata, but also Bo comes from the Arawak word. They say that's what I looked up or whatever. So that's like a combination because those people are a mixture of Chateau or mainland and people from the Bahamas, which kind of the Geechees kind of had that thing going on with their speech. But it was mainly many other tribes, the Edisto tribe, Stono tribe, all these other tribes. But then eventually all those people just get grouped into one thing called either Geechees or Uchis used to be over there, all these other ones. It's always they always grouping them up. But I hadn't got up to the Cherokees, but I didn't know Cherokees were pretty much the same way. That's crazy.
Now, because if you see right, you see a word called Cho, Raki. The Cho people, or the Cho and the Chote people, all of these people have an Arawak background, and they were enemies of the Rican Hawkins. So what was going on in the southeast was you had islanders, mainlanders, and people from Central America all living in the southeast on the fertile lands. The people who were literally not from here, the people that were from here flipped on their asses and wanted them out so they can do their own business. You see what it was when you start looking at the history. You got those who living on the coastal lands, right? Those who living in mountain regions. The Arawaks called the Cimarron mountain people. The Cherokees live literally in the mountain region.
Yeah, yeah,
Now, how many
and we
other
know those
tribes?
names came later. The Seminole name came way later.
My point exactly. So, how many other tribes live in the mountainous regions of America? And you can show that these people all are classified either Chickahominy, Cherokee, or something aligned with the Cherokee tribe, and some form of Muskogee to them.
Mm-hmm.
I'm talking about that. I'm talking about Alabama, northern Georgia, northwest Georgia, northeast Alabama, northwest South Carolina, northeast Georgia, north southwest North Carolina, the whole corner over there in the Appalachian Mountains itself, going back around into the Tennessee Valley.
Whatever, shot. Yeah, yeah.
You get where I'm going with this right now?
Mm-hmm.
So you break this down, the Cherokees look like they raided out everybody when really that might not be the case. Cherokee might have been umbrellaed on them folks to build a new nation from what had been destroyed during the Yamasee and Tuscarora wars.
Mm.
You got to remember, bro, if people not running down south into Florida, they running into the mountains. What do the Arawak call Cimarroons? Matter of fact, type in the definition of the Arawak Cimarron word so people could literally see this.
What the word Cimarron means?
Yeah. Oh, and that timeline is wicked, my boy.
Yeah, there's
You
what I
can click
mean.
either one.
I was gonna show that one
It's
where you
gonna
were
give
talking
you
about the wars there, but you said do what now?
type in type in the Arawak definition for Cimarron.
Cimarron instead of Seminole, right?
Mm-hmm.
Arawak, where Cimarron means wild or gone astray, is the ultimate origin of the Spanish term Cimarron. The Spanish word was first used for feral animals and later applied to indigenous people and then African slaves. Funny how they say that indigenous people, then they say African slave. That shit didn't come to like the goddamn 1900s on that African slave shit, what they want to call it. But yeah, like I believe that's at least what I've been believing. Because even the Yamasis, I got a little thing that said that they were known to be. They called them a slave race. This that was held by the Creeks, and they as they left out of that area. And when you go down the Creeks and then they said that they were taken in or eventually incorporated into the Creeks, and that's what makes the Seminoles. And they're talking about the slave race. They call Yamasis
You
that.
hitting it. You hitting it because a lot of people don't know that the Kiyokis, the Uchis, like the people who had independent names that was outside of the name Muskogee, all of them people got raided because all of them people had long linguistics somewhere else. But if you go and look at the DeSoto history of Alabama, it'll tell you it was a tribe in Alabama who was a part of this fraction that claimed that everybody was from somewhere else, either they came from somewhere far overseas or they were from somewhere else in the Americas. But a lot of people history didn't give an origin story. You feel me? They just knew they'd been there for thousands of years and they knew the land, they knew everything about everything. And this is what a lot of if you read the documents clearly, these people tell you that the people were telling them, my ancestors been here since the beginning of time. Or some people history was my ancestors came over a bridge or came over water. You know what I'm saying? So what they start trying to figure out was who ancestors been here the longest. And so it was people living in Georgia, Alabama, Mississippi, Louisiana, and every other state who ancestors had been there longer than other tribes from around the Americas or the world. That it's an 1838 or 32 book that's put out by this dude, right? He talk about the black nations or the Negro nations of America. His book breaks down exactly what happened in the Americas. And his book is one of the most rejected books ever, bro. Because this man clearly tells you that no African, white man, and Native American could make this race of people. These people are the most primitive people and the most primordial of all the Negro races in the world. This man said he can go all around the world and see a separate science, but come to America and see every science that's in the world. He said that every aboriginal person in this world was right here in America and that they branched from America. Because see, when people look up the word primitive, it literally means the first of your kind.
Not what we think of
So
it today.
let me try to find it. Let me try to find the book for Shouty real quick because this is important. I need to find that book. Black Nations of America.
I appreciate
Book.
y'all being in here for the conversation too, man. Appreciate y'all down in the chat. That primitive is a beautiful word. See, and I never looked into it. Somebody's asking for that book name again.
Yeah, I'm trying to get that. I'm trying to get it. Tell them, give me 1 second.
Cool, cool.
Y'all know I be moving all slow.
Yeah, we got a bunch of y'all up in here, man. We just chopping it up, man. Going into right now, many different things about we kind of done veered towards just some history of tribes and stuff here, but we definitely were talking about the property, rights in the sense of the patents and land being taken, and then we've also veered into some, a little bit of the reclassifications or of tribe names in a sense, people being incorporated into other tribes and different things. We kind of been all over the place, but we on top. We on top. That's for sure. I like the conversation. And
The
I see
reason why I
somebody
brought it up,
coming up. I'm gonna let you up after they after we done here with our convo, whoever that is, African American. But go
But
ahead, my bad.
the only reason I brung it up in this way so people can have a timeline to allotted lands through wars and acts. Because see, your family is in these regions when these things are going down. So if you can find answers in 1832, but see an Indian war was going on in your area at the same time, but your ancestors are roaming around farming, living free.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That means your ancestors was already there, and they're trying to remove people that's not from there, so they can have a place. So the real war was going on where they felt like the Yamasee was from Chichen Itza. They felt like the Chol or the Chote people were from the island of Haiti or Jamaica or Cuba, if y'all are getting what I'm saying. So their job was to run these people out of these territories because they felt like these people were literally not from here, but they struck deals with these same people, right? And that's the whole point of how, when you go look at how the Cherokees sold off all the land, think about it. Just think about it. Who was the first people to sign treaties and sell their land? Choctaws and Cherokees. Before the Cherokees were even mixed out, or the Choctaws. Why were they the first ones to get rid of land when it comes down to the Indian Removal Act, or the Seminole Wars, to be exact? 1817, 1819. Me and you both read the treaties and how people went to Arkansas and they ain't even got no list of the name of these people like that. How many people went to Oklahoma and they didn't name none of those people back in 1817, 1819, before the Indian Removal Act? Me and you went over this, bro, when you was breaking down the Carlisle's boarding school. When C3 was on the panel that day, we seen for ourselves that none of those people were really marked down and put on papers, but we know every Negro that can say, oh, my family got moved to Arkansas during or before the Indian Removal Act or after.
Mm-hmm.
Even during the desolation of the tribes, people were still moving to Arkansas getting land. Nobody can explain that. So when we go back and we look, we start to notice that that there's East Allegheny, and then there's the West Appalachians. The East Allegheny is in the 13 colonies. The West Appalachians is in Indian Territory. Who are the Appalachian Indians is the bigger question, because they're mapped between the Virginias and Florida. So that would mean these Siouan Indians are your Appalachian Indians, but you have these Itzikans and all these other ancient people here in the Americas that have land from having treaties and deals and marriages amongst these people that were already in the Appalachians. Appalachian peas are what you call black eyed peas today, but they don't allow us to call them Appalachian peas. They just want them to be black eyed peas so they can be from Africa. But these peas only grow in the Appalachian.
Mm.
Black eyed, other cow peas or other type of cow peas grow in Africa, but Appalachian peas are the black eyed peas we eat daily or seasonally, however we eat them. But y'all, you just got to start catching on. So if we the Appalachian people, and they saying they are raiding people out on coastal lands. Think about it. They raiding people off of certain parts of Cali. But then you, ma'am, all right, hold on.
Yes, he does that. Looking at and knowing these wars starts to become a lot more important when you're looking at your family's history in certain states. Some people in people's genealogy, like my friend, he got people that may have been affected. Like, okay, we found out he had a relative, that ancestor that was in like North Carolina, South Carolina, and at some point she ended up in Louisiana. And so we started looking at back, what year was she born, and what would have caused her to leave from North Carolina to Louisiana. And then when we looked it up, we noticed it would have been around the time of, I think it was either this or no, it might, I think it was this time frame. Um, if I'm not mistaken, I had to pull this tree back up. Let me pull this tree up real quick because I could be slightly off, but long story short, you once we looked at that, we realized also that in her genealogy, it said she don't have any paperwork, but it's said that she Louisa Dunn. So it wouldn't have been that far back, 1830. Well, 1830. Let's see, what was that? 1830 something. What's going on? Got the Seminole Wars and stuff. Oh, I think it was her parent. It might have been her parents that it was something. I got to remember. But long story short, when we looked at it, it had to do with the Cherokees. That's why I was looking at the Chickamauga Wars. But that would have ran some people out of there right before, and it might have been her parents, but I don't think we got her parents' information, or it may have been part of the story. I can't remember. But long story short, it's almost like looking at this and kind of just trying to piece together what would have caused a person to leave. What would have caused this person at a young age to have to go so fast, and where did they go, and stuff like that. And then her being Cherokee, as far as she has this whole thing. Let me see. It's called Mother of Rhodessa. She got this like thing done about her. They spelled it wrong. Rhodessa. Mother of Rhodessa, Louisa Dunn. And this was when I first kind of go into the whole Dunn thing, right? And so coming down here, let me just type in the Cherokee thing. Find on page Cherokee right there. Family lore says that Louisa was part Cherokee, and she is described by my grandmother as short, brown skinned, with long hair. Papa also said that Louisa spoke with an unusual accent that wasn't familiar that he wasn't familiar with. So they talk about that. I'm trying to see if I can figure out where she had started and where she left again. Let's see. And she ended up getting with the Tyson family, like your little Mike Tyson's, uh, and also a Gibson. She ends up becoming Louisa Gibson. But the Dunn name stuck around. Well, lost it after her. She was the last one with a Dunn name. But my friend whose tree I did, his middle name is Dunn, and they just said, "Hey, it's a family name." And Rhodessa has a bunch of oil fields, which she ended up being in. There was fight over land about these oil fields. I mean, I don't know if it had to do with the oil fields, likely so, but fight over the lands out there. I'm trying to see if I can remember where she was, or was it Tennessee? Mm, the story's kind of long, as you can see, so I ain't trying to go through the whole thing, but I was hoping I could skim through it real fast. But long story short, you just try to correlate these things. Like if your family was just in a certain area and they stayed in the area the whole time, I mean, you could look into the wars and stuff, um, but I don't know, that you may find some correlation with it. But if you do see them leaving all of a sudden abruptly, from one place to another, they all going to the south or something, or further south, then you might look into what would cause that. And that doesn't mean that it is the right thing, but it's just putting the little pieces of the puzzle together. Because one thing we got to think about is, and I'm gonna look down here and see what you're saying. One thing we got to think about is that we are trying to catch these people in lies. So it's not like we're gonna find the lies just right in the face. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes the lie is right then and there. It's just like, oh yeah, that's the idiot. I don't know why they did that. But other times you gotta just really piece this stuff together from things they wouldn't think you would piece together, and then now you can create a story that be like, okay, this makes more sense over this, or these facts seem, well, whatever the case may be. Judah Lyons said, considering the methods and hardships of migration during these times, I doubt they would leave without good reason. Yeah, that's real talk. Especially what's up, Brass Prophet? Especially how far you have to travel with like either horse and buggy or a little mule with a little wagon or whatever the case may be. Um, so yeah, it would have been a thing. Now in her time, they actually might have had some cars. Let's see, was she an ATC? When was she born? Hold on, when was she born? Well, 1830s, maybe not actually. When was the first car to come out? When did the first car come out? 1885. So yeah, damn sure not. Yeah, it would have been hard for her to maneuver around in her little time. And Richard Gibson up there. But yeah, so like the family, she ended up going to Rodessa, Louisiana after some time, and ended up having big families, and their families had big families. I think that family and another family went there. Let me go back. I think it's the Gibsons and the Butlers. Yeah, the Gibsons and the Butlers. And he kept saying, we got to be, related. And the Gorees. I forgot about the Gorees. And the Goree name is funny about that name. Like when I was going through his stuff, I didn't really find any Indian paperwork per se like that. But the Goree name, I had a video. Let me see if it may not be here. It may be on my phone. Goree. It's funny that pulls up something. Let me see what that is. Lisa Goree. At least it's right here. So I got a video of her in an interview. I think it's on my phone, but she is supposed to be the chairwoman, almost like chief, almost of this particular tribe. This is the Shinnecock. So I like when I seen her on a video speaking, and it said something else. I thought it said something like a chief or a squad, a sun squad or something. I forgot. But long story short, I saw that and I was like, go read, nigga. I said, man, I said, look, if you would go read, and you said all them Gorees came down there, all these Gorees came down there, and they were known to be down there with y'all, then I'm sure you some kind of kin to the people up there in Shinnecock. That's a damn sure. That's damn sure a unique kind of a name in a sense. But the Jacksons, he's got the Butlers, he's got the Gibsons, got the Davises, and then what's funny is when you look at my tree, uh, going back here, I got Butlers. In fact, my Butler goes all the way up to my grandma on my dad's side. So I would have been a Butler if it had been flipped, right? But I'm a battle. We got the Butlers. I got Davises in there. I don't have no Gorees. I thought I had a Jackson somewhere. Thought I had a Jackson somewhere, but maybe not.
You know what's gonna make this conversation even more interesting?
What was that?
The Little Ice Age, the Year with No Summer, and the first Seminole Wars.
The Little Ice
And I'm
Age.
trying to
And
figure
I've
out.
heard about that though. You said what was the other ones?
Now, the Little Ice Age lasted from the 1300s all the way to 1850. The years with no summer, 1815, 1816, 1817.
Years with no
The Seminole
summer.
Wars.
Hmm.
Mm-hmm. And the first Seminole Wars happened when?
I think that was like early 1800, like 1813, 1815, something like that.
No, those are the Lower Creek and Upper Creek Wars. Those are the Red Stick and White Stick Wars. Seminole Wars, 1817, 1821.
Hmm.
Give me 1 second again, bro.
Yeah, go ahead. I'm gonna let one of these folks up, see what they got. Give them a second to talk for a second, if they still there.
Hey, what's happening, man?
What's up, African American? Yeah, African American something.
African Americans ain't African. Check this out. When I ran across your page, you guys were talking about primitive. So I just want to share something about primitive. Everybody should hit some of those primitive Baptist churches. They're normally located in the deep south, but those primitive Baptist churches, you will never have to read nothing else again. Ever. These people show you who you are and why everybody wants a piece of you. Everybody. And the world is rich because of you, because of what you give to the world. Unfortunately, you give very little to yourselves. But the world is rich because of you. It's that fake kind of rich though. It's not real. All you can do is buy somebody else's stuff, which is what the primitive people do. The primitive people here have turned against themselves so much. They everything they have in their house is foreign made. Almost nothing made here. I'm not going to say everybody because everybody's not like that. But about 95% of the people are, maybe more.
You realize that in any Hindu home that's here in the United States, likely most of the stuff in their home is bought by something at Walmart and Target. White folks,
Yeah.
everything they own is bought by somebody in China, and everybody else in America is kind of on that same wave.
What I'm saying is this, and this is what I'm saying. Hit them primitive Baptist churches, man. Don't go in there for the Christian stuff for it. Go in and buy. You ever see that movie called The Blues Brothers?
Blues Brothers, yeah,
Blues
it's been
Brothers,
a
about
while.
1980 movie.
With the glasses, Sage. I can't remember the
Yeah,
song, the
yeah, yeah.
storyline.
You've seen that before, right? Remember the church scene in it?
Not really, but go ahead.
Go back, just go back. Okay, just go back and check it out. James Brown is the minister. Your folks, man, wrote everything in stone because you see it all around you. That's what I'm saying. Everything you haven't, I'm not saying you personally, sir, but everything the average person has in their houses, somebody else somewhere else made it. We're not talking about China. We ain't talking about that. We're not talking about that. We're talking about here. And we always act like not connected to this place. This is not our home. That's why we always lying and trying to get out of stuff and running away from
Nah, I don't
ourselves.
like a lot of like denigration of my people like that. So we ain't always just lying, trying to get out of stuff. We
Sir,
ain't just always trying to
sir,
buy from
sir,
other
sir.
people and
The
everything.
majority, sir,
That's
come
not
on.
like I don't mind some criticism of my people, but I don't like a denigration of my people.
Denigration.
Yeah,
They
like
denigrate.
in the past like 3 to 4 minutes, you probably denigrated our people at least 10 times,
Sir,
at least.
is it, is,
Oh, they do
is
this,
it,
they like this, they on
is,
this, they not the
sir,
best at this, they
is this is
dying, they
what,
just no. After a
is this
while,
is,
is this a session for you to just go off on my people, or are you trying to come
yo,
up here and actually talk about a particular subject, sir?
sir, are you listening? Are you even
I
listening to what
damn
I'm
sure
telling
am
you?
listening to you. That's why exactly why I just
Sir,
said what the fuck I
okay,
said,
okay,
nigga. Why do
okay,
you think?
okay, okay,
That's why I'm
okay,
listening. I
okay,
sat
check
back
it.
and I listened, nigga.
Okay, check this
The
out.
fuck
Okay,
was I doing when I was
now I'm a
quiet?
nigger, but check this out. You're gonna
You
apologize for
whatever
that.
I say in my motherfucking language. I don't
In
give
the
a damn.
set,
I'm not here to
in the,
police, tone
in,
police, or
in the,
whatever the case. You denigrated my people. I don't give a fuck what the hell you
sir,
is, nigga. Or
sir,
what the hell I call you. You denigrated my people 10 times in a
have your
row.
people
Fuck you.
denigrated themselves
Okay?
more than I
My
have?
people are doing way more history research, looking into this past history, bringing up
Sir,
all kind of changing the whole world just
if,
based off of scholarship. While you come up here and complain about niggas buying something at Walmart, you niggas be at Walmart buying all that China. You're
sir,
supposed to be out here
can I get
making
in?
spoons.
Can
I
I
should
get
be
in?
able to buy a black-owned
Can I
spoon.
get in? Can I
Why am
get
I
in?
eating China spoons? Okay, I know they call it fine China, nigga. Where's the fine nigger China? Okay, nigga, you ain't making no goddamn sense. You'll come up here and get clowned the fuck up with that bullshit.
Dude, you won't even let nobody speak. Cause what are you
What
talking
do you mean I
about?
won't let nobody speak? I let you sit
Dude,
here and speak forever, and you sat here and denigrated
you,
my people for
dude,
about 10 minutes.
did I tell a lie?
You told many lies. That's why I got in your
Name
ass.
one.
That's why
Name
I got in
one.
your motherfucking
Name
ass. I
one.
called it a lie.
Name one.
That
Name
all
it.
we do is buy from overseas. Everybody buys from overseas, but a lot of black people
Sir,
spend their money
back up. I
directly in the
mean,
black community. I
dude.
was just with my dad
So when you
not that
keep
long ago,
going, you
and
don't
he
want
was spending
nobody else
all
to
his money
stay.
in the black community.
The
He took
question
me
was,
to a black-owned
the
restaurant. I said,
question
Dad, you always
is,
go here. I'm gonna let you
you're
talk.
talking
Go
about
ahead.
indigenous people who ancestors now They know that they're ancestors, but
Didn't
they
I
will
tell y'all,
so
boy, they leave worse than what they came up here?
dude,
You come up on my
dude,
motherfucking panel with that bullshit, you gonna leave
dude,
madder than
look,
when you
you
got
better
up in
pay
this bitch.
attention to what's going on today.
Voice trembling
Instead
and
of keep
shit.
trying to go back and talk about shit you should have learned when you was 3, 4 years old.
Tell them. Go ahead and get your words out. Go
No,
ahead.
dude, no, because
Go ahead and
this
get your
this is the
frustrations out
problem.
to the folks. Go
This
ahead.
is the problem,
Let them hear
dude.
your racism
Pre-
against yourself.
you are so people don't learn nothing, man. You're making sure that I said coming up here. Check out the word primitive and go check out them churches in the primitive. You'll get connected to yourself more so than ever.
How?
You, nah. You started an argument. That's
Are you
the
gonna leave out
number.
the denigration,
No,
the comment, the denigrating
sir,
comments? You gonna leave that out?
sir,
I said,
sir,
come to the church primitive. You just went off on a
sir,
nigga.
sir.
Now
You
I'm acting like a black Karen, a black church preacher
no, you
Karen in this bitch.
no, you acting like
Mad than a
black people
motherfucker
act.
because you don't went off on me, and I'm gonna leave out why
You
you going
acting
off
like
on me
black
because
people
you
act,
sat here
sir.
talking about my people for a
Black,
moment, and I don't
dude,
like that, sir. I
but
hope you understand that you came to the wrong place with that kind of shit.
no. Listen,
Now, when me and TB was up here, we were building pretty good. Neither one of us
what were you
had
building?
anything bad to
What
say
were you
about the
building?
people. We
What
had
were you
zero
building?
things to say bad about the people. We
You never
understood the
answer
history.
questions,
We
do you?
understand the history.
Lady,
You don't understand the
God
history.
damn.
You came in here talking about primitive churches, nigga. What the fuck? Them motherfuckers ain't primitive, nigga. Them missions. Those are missions placed here by the colonizers that first came here, sir. They knew. You know that. We know that. That's why we stay away from them hoe ass places now. Most of us. Some of y'all are still indoctrinated into the shit. Nigga left. I told y'all, boy, they leave worse than what they came up here. You don't know who the fuck y'all think y'all coming up. I'm gonna clown your bitch ass and I'm gonna let you know. Okay? These people are crazy. And I don't know why he was following me. I hope he pushed the unfollow button right after this shit, nigga. I hope you did. For haven't heard from anybody. Hold on, y'all. I gotta text my detailer. I think he's on the way to my. Let me make sure he. Hey, boss, can you
Peaceville.
let the customer know that you're heading that way? If you are, comma. Don't let people up. Whoever's modding, I don't know why y'all letting people up.
Hey, I'm sorry. I'll get down, Sam. Hey, I'm in your neck of the woods. This is making make sense. I just wanted that information again about that Hampstead stuff. And I asked you a
Oh, okay,
while ago.
okay.
So I emailed you in your DM, in your email. I just wanted to, and I get that. And I apologize for coming up. It's
No, you
always
fine,
good
you
to talk to
fine.
you because that is where my people's from. Especially on my dad's side, on his mother's side. So I got a little stuck there on some of their information there. So I was just needing some help on that.
Oh, okay, okay, okay. Well,
Hey, that's what I'm on here for too.
Who?
D- DM me that, and I will. I so I can remember. My bad. My head kind of all over the place. I'm trying to get a hold of my
No, I'm
detailer.
sorry. You were going off
Uh,
on that guy, so I
and that dude,
apologize. Yeah,
yeah.
you was getting them, but I apologize. I was really wanting some help on that genealogy on that part, and so I'll just drop down and I'll DM you again. I know you're
Okay.
busy, so I really appreciate everything you do.
Yeah, no, I appreciate you coming up, and yeah, I'll try to answer, make sure I get to your DM and answer whatever you are. Send you the link to the whatever it is, the Hempstead, Arkansas thing, and everything else.
Okay, and did Shawnee just say she helps with that too?
Who said that? I know we got Meta down there that helps to get you unstuck with a lot of your genealogy. Gia and Meta are two good people. They got a group that they help a lot of people out. So I always typically send people that way if you're just trying to get unstuck.
Okay, Gia Meta. Okay, I'll find them
Yeah,
in there. I appreciate it.
Gia Santana and Meta. I forget. I always call her Meta, but it has the rest of her name in there. But yeah. I'll DM that to you as well.
Okay, I appreciate it. You have a great.
Thanks. Yeah, you do. You too. Appreciate that.
Hey, I'm on here because I'm kind of stuck also, and my last name's Johnson. We from Cuthbert, Georgia. That's where my ancestors. That's where I can
You
trace
say
them back.
where?
Cuthbert, Georgia.
How you
CULT
spell?
CULTHERT BERT. Cuth CUTHBERT Cuthbert, Georgia.
Yeah, for me, I ain't gonna lie, I am not your expert on the genealogy, and I don't have like I'm like a subject matter expert in things that I've looked at in a sense. So like I don't have like an all around information or knowledge base on like everybody's surnames or like not everybody obviously, but some of the more prominent ones and like their locations. But I know some people that do. Some people you can rat those names out to them, and they'll instantly be like, "Oh yeah, Johnson, someone from such and such and such and such." So I,
You know, but I found my great great grandfather. I just found it this weekend. He have 80 acres, and it's in northern Georgia, but I'm not sure where. But I think it said Coweta, Georgia, which is above Cuthbert. And my great great grandmother, she came. I think she came from Alabama side, and she married my great grandfather over in Cuthbert. But anyway, I've been searching this stuff out for about since 2003. I'm an older woman, and what you all just explained, just for a few minutes, I've been listening. I've probably been listening about a good 45 minutes or so because I can't even stop because you hit so many good points. I really appreciate what you're doing, and churches are not the place to go because they always bring their liquor and their missionary, and they're believing in this this fake. I think that's why we got a whole bunch of homosexuals because they trying to get so close to this Jesuit person they've been putting in front of our face for so long. But I'm glad you cut that man off. Thank you.
yeah, no, I appreciate that. Yeah. I don't know where. At first, I tried to see where he's gonna go with it. He's like, you should go to the primitive church, but then, he sounded performative when he first started going. But I was gonna let him ride and see where he was gonna go with the whole church thing. But after he
Mm.
kept cutting at my folks with little slick remarks, yeah, we just don't like ourselves. We just don't know how to do that. I can't even remember.
Because we don't like ourselves is because they have devastated so many people, so many of our people, and I don't knock anybody these days because you don't know what someone's been through, what their family's been through, and I know I've been through a lot with my own family, and it's only it's only because my grandmother, my nana, she used to say they was fighting over my grandfather money, and she said, Shauna, don't worry about them because you got something great in store. And I see now it's coming to light just by knowing it say, seek ye first the kingdom of heaven, and you you got to know who you are. And that's what I've been doing since 2003. And my family said, they always say, you know more about the family than anybody. That's because I've been researching for a long time. And you guys just opened my eyes because I thought we were Muskogee Creek. But when you put that in, it comes up Cherokee Muskogee. When I put it in that area, it says, and it doesn't say
Well, yeah,
Cherokee, it's something else. It doesn't say Cherokee, but it's similar to Cherokee, but it's not the way they spell it for these so-called civilized nations. It's not that Cherokee.
yeah. They spell it many different ways, and then there's been Talaqui or something like that, Salagi, and then even then, of course, there's even different tribes from there. Like Creeks aren't really Creeks; they're really
Yeah.
Uchis, Shawnees, and other things. And so you'll find that a lot of these major tribes they got are just really other tribes they done grouped in together. And
Yeah, and I went to Coweta. I went to their thing where they keep the genealogy, and this what do y'all call them, YT people? This man, he kept saying, well, you a slave. I said, no, I'm not. And then he was saying Gertrude, and I always denied my middle name because they named me Gertrude, but that was a way for them to keep us connected, because there's a lot of Gertrudes in my lineage.
yeah, and
Oh
I've
yeah, I
heard
see
that.
what she's saying.
Go ahead, TB.
Because see, her folks' history go back to the 1831 well 1836 battle of Icho Wenatchee or whatever. And it says exactly what she just said, that these people were a mix of Cherokees and Creeks.
Hmm.
And they mainly were from the Ulafa, Alabama.
And I think they said my great grandmother was from Alabama. And she spoke different
Yeah.
than they did. She didn't speak the same language as them.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Well, yeah. I
Thank you.
I think the further I would contact those folks, and well, no, you didn't ask. That was actually Ogre. You was asking about that, but you know, I, I wish I could give you better information on those. I am studying more in Alabama and things of that nature, and trying to figure out the inception. It's beginning, and my bad, my head's kind of all over the place. I was texting my worker here, but so I hope I didn't miss
Yeah,
what you just said.
in Georgia, it said we come from Randolph County, and I found like marriage license in Randolph County, and in that marriage license, everybody was calling themselves colored, but my great grandparents, they didn't even acknowledge that. Like they left it blank on their line. So I said they were resentful that they were even calling them colored.
Okay, okay. Yeah, I mean, it's a lot of switched ups, especially when you're talking about the classifications. They definitely get switched up a bit.
Yeah.
Um, we'll see what Kenzie, you got something to say here? Kenzie Locke, or do you know you up here, Kenzie Locke?
She might not, bro.
Must not. What up,
Because
CR?
usually people at least come in.
Yeah, they may
Damn, I
not.
keep on people's lives. What's happening with you, Sam? I ain't even, man. Look,
Oh, okay. I heard the
I've been
background.
enjoying the conversation, family. Drop me back down, whoa. I look, my son must have hit the button.
Oh, you good, you good. I guess the same thing with that. All right, what's up, boss? Same thing with that. Well, yeah, yeah. So we probably about to get back into the topic here, Shauna. But I definitely appreciate you coming up, and I wish there was more I can answer for you on there. But I just say, encourage you to keep looking into your history. I know mine. I'm
Well,
stuck in
to
certain
be
places,
honest with
but
you,
go ahead.
You know
to be
what?
honest with you,
You all are young people,
she
and
was
I
everything
admire
she
what you're
needs to know,
doing.
bro.
And I say keep up the great work because you even exposed me to some truths that I didn't know. So I thank you for that.
Oh yeah,
Well,
yeah,
she
for
really
sure.
on point.
Go ahead, TB.
Um, I said she really on point with what she's supposed to know. I mean, only thing about it is, have finding distinctive names that go along with people and tracing back extra family. But if, as far as I can see and as much as I can research, y'all are the Rudolph, literally the Muskogee people of Rudolph, that the Ulafa Indians,
Ulafa,
great
okay.
farmers,
And they were
great
farmers too.
warriors.
Hmm. They were
Yeah,
farmers, and
so yeah,
I even found like one of my ancestors was an
Kowalski
engineer
or
in Virginia.
Chickasaw, um, Chattahoochee, all those areas right there. That's your people's area.
Hmm.
So yeah, you was already on point. You don't have to discuss or really argue much more about that part.
Thank you.
Nobody can take that from you. All you have to do is find you a record that says colored, literally colored. You don't have to find no other record. As long as one record say colored, you know you an Indian.
Oh, I got a whole bunch of I got so many records. And the thing was, when I started, I used to do screenshots and then save them as PDFs because some of the regular PDFs I saved, it's like they disappeared. Like they started knowing we was doing these searches and stuff, and they started like not letting us get the information anymore.
All right.
So I got a lot of them. Hmm.
Well,
All right, I'm gonna
yeah,
get off, but thank you.
yeah. No, we appreciate you coming up.
I see that's the good thing about people from Georgia and South Carolina. If they can find one colored record, they won a whole Indian argument because the Supreme Courts during most cases when people were fighting their freedom will let you know if a person was marked as a person of color. It mainly denotated an Indian ancestry and that they come from free people. You ain't gonna find no colored record if your folks wasn't free.
Yeah, that's real, and that's
So
when you look at those records. Like even the early census, they don't even list the colors of the people on the head of household. You just kind of got to guess at it. But you can tell by like some places where it's in some situations where it's like a line where it's like head of household and they don't own no white folks under them and it's none but black folks, none but slaves. But then it's like on another line it might be you never know because some black people don't have white folks on their plantation too or in they whatever. So a lot of these records are just kind of all over the place when in some of the early census forms.
man, let me tell you, you want to know why they over the place? Because a lot of white T people, family members were slaves. And if
Mm-hmm.
YT people who come to America don't have the same name as an American, but can find an American and adapt his name, then what you think gonna happen? Cause once I marry into your family, I'm gonna pick up your family name. I ain't gonna keep the one I come from, or unless your family name is close to mine and we can make an agreement on how it should be spelled.
Mm-hmm.
Think about it, bro. I
A lot
mean,
of identity
how many
theft.
people can
Identity
say,
theft happens today. It's just in a different way.
nah, but how many people can literally say this? One side of my family name spelled this way, the other side spelled this way, but we all come from the same people.
You see that a lot on. We the ones that got that. Um, I got it with a few different lines. I know the Gibsons or it could be Gibson or Gibson. And I think I
Think
know
about it, right? So,
couple others. And what they try to say,
oh, and whoever wanted that book, my bad, bro. But whoever was asking me the name of that book, it's called "The Primitive Black Nations of America."
no, you
You done
good, you
read that
good.
before, son?
Nuh-uh.
Oh man, you gotta get that book, bro. Go ahead and download it while I'm here.
You
Go
said
ahead and
what's called
download it
what?
while I'm here. Can't let you. The Primitive Black Nations of the Americas, 1832.
Hold on, let me say, Primitive Black Nations of America, 1832. Archive.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, this is something I'm
Oh,
probably
this book
gonna
gonna rock the world. Cause see, this book tell you stories that they don't want you to know about people that visit the Americas way before the Spanish. And this man had the pure proof of it because this is all the stuff that he was learning growing up, and he came to America himself to see for himself. And when he found out the truth from his own vision, he literally about cussed out the world about the lies they had been telling about America.
Is it like is it
And
in the archives or is this something you have to get from somewhere else?
you can PDF it. That's it. That dude right there with the last name with the primitive black, yeah, that book you can PDF that. Just put PDF at the back of it. Cause I got it downloaded. If I have to send you the file, I will.
It's not this American Nation thing, right? No, the Primitive Black Nations of America. That's a Twitter link. Hey, you might have to shoot that on over. Yeah, you might
Go down. Matter of fact, you should be able to download it off of that.
off of this
Cause
right
I
here.
know that. Yeah, click that one. Let's see if that's it. Nah, cause if it ain't in here, I'm gonna send it to you. Cause it should be a photo of him somewhere in this book.
Nah, this old school.
Ancient and Modern. Is his name on that joint? Yeah. This one on. Listen, the book done been renamed a couple times, but
Oh, okay.
I'm pretty sure this is it right here. I'm pretty sure this is it right here. Cause you got the one with the primitive black nations label on it. But I'm willing to bet you this is the the first of the books, bro. Because see when you go down, look, go down some more. Scroll down some more. Yeah, bro, this it, bro. Let's go up a little bit right here. It should tell you that damn near everything about this man and how he studied the Americas, the tribes, and their empires. And this is the general history part, man. It's so many yeah, that's his name, Samuel
Rapiness.
Raffinite,
I've
however.
heard that name,
Yeah,
Rapiness,
Raffinette.
before.
Because bro, they man, listen, they wanted to sue this man for going against them, bro. He literally told them folks,
Constantine
like, listen,
Rapiness. I think that's what it is. Constantine Rapiness. I think that's the name I've heard
yeah,
before.
Constantine. Listen, Charles Darwin even referenced what he was using to do his studies, bro. This is no lie. This is how Charles Darwin even started wanting to do polygenetic studies because of this man and others who kept saying that the black people in America don't come from slavery. When the Sweden people brung Africans with them, they mixed with those Africans. Everybody that brung Africans with them made babies with those Africans.
No,
But
you
there
know
were
what? That's
already
right.
a people.
Yeah, no, that's crazy. You say that. Yeah, but keep going. I'm gonna pull up something.
But like man, the way he break it down, bro, he was like, yeah, the Swedish brung Africans, I think he talk about Genghis Khan them coming over. He talk about the Welsh coming over. He talk about people from the Middle East coming over, bringing dark skinned people with them. The thing that he said though was that none of these populations of people created this so-called Negro population of people in America.
Mm-hmm. And even in this book I had saw a long while back, it says the inhabitants here, according to the Spaniards' own relation, doesn't exceed 600 families of Spaniards, the Moors, and mongrels, which are begot of Spanish and Moors. And that was the first time that I thought about how, oh man, these people would come here as the white folks and the black folks, and then they create a little copper colored folk, which can now somewhat cloak themselves into the society a little bit better. Because I'm gonna look at a little yellow bone mixed chick a little bit different than I'm gonna look at that Spaniard that came over here or that ugly looking African that came over here. You know what I
Right.
mean? That's just crazy.
Gotta have some kind of nigga features. But damn, I can't think of what page it is. But man, y'all go download this book because it's gonna spell Moors the correct way in the book.
I supposed to get a package today, ain't that? Huh?
No man, Toot had a package today. That was it. And he just came in. He didn't bring no package in. Oh well, you still got about what 7 or 9 o'clock, ain't it?
Oh, I don't know.
Who ordered it?
I did.
You check the time date on it? Was it one of those
It
5?
says it's out for the day. So they still got time, I guess.
Yeah, because a lot of times they'll have them drinks
With
3,
the
4, yeah, 3, 4 hours off time. Hey, how that Walmart delivery thing work? Don't they do like 3 hours after you order?
No, that being the other day.
It's been the other day.
Yeah.
Oh. Well, I'll be looking out for it.
But yeah, as y'all can see, and this is the book I got that out of, y'all. I can't remember the name of this damn book. Let me actually see if I can see it for y'all. Showing the photos. A short discovery of the coast of the continent of America from the equinoctial something. From the equinoctial north wind of the adjacent isles or something like that. For those who want to screenshot that. I didn't go through the whole book, but I went through quite a bit of it though.
What book that is?
Some random book. Short discovery off the coast of the continent of America from the equinoctial northward of the adjacent isles. I can't remember what made me go through this damn thing, but I remember reading it though.
Listen, when you read Constantine book, you're gonna say to yourself, you're gonna say, hold on. Ain't no way everybody else talking to whitewash history, bro. Ain't no way. That dude Constantine, bro, he break it to the point where it's like the way science was saying people was mixing and creating this new population of free colored people or Negroes. He's saying that that shit was a lie way back in 1836. So where did the Afro-American population come from? That was a new race in 1965 or the 1950s. Then you got to get that other book, what's it called? Advocate for the Negroes and Indians, or the Negro and Indian Advocate. I think his name, but his last name is Goodwin. He gonna break down every complexion of the Indians, letting you know that these people were dark skinned, brindle, mulatto colored, copper colored, ruddy, rugged people.
No, I can believe it. And I got a bunch of different little books. I try to save as many books as I can that always describe people in these things. I got a whole little section with little books that I got a little extra. If they say tawny, copper, brown, black, negro, whatever the fuck, I'm saving them shits.
Do Africans birth white babies that turn black?
Not the term blood. Not that I've seen. We always been have a lot of voyages were describe our the Indians to have babies that start off really light, almost near white, and even eventually get darker.
And that's what they say about all the Indians in this book. We are the only population of people that they say do that today still. Mexican have a baby, that baby come out looking Mexican.
Hmm.
Asian have a baby, that baby come out looking Asian. We have a baby, it come out looking Asian, it become a nigga Asian by the time it's 3.
And I ain't never even looked at a damn African baby either. African newborn. I ain't never really looked at an African newborn. Let's see. Yeah, no, they don't start off
They
light.
come out dark.
Mm,
Most of them come out already their parents' complexion.
yeah.
So who
Yeah.
babies are coming out white?
'Cause some of these,
You
even though
thought
this
what?
one
What
looks
you
light,
thought
that's
they
just light
gonna
on
be?
them. Huh.
Yeah, what I'm saying. And see, people didn't pay that part of the historical documents any attention. Our
Hmm.
babies come out white.
And
They
that's
babies
probably
come out just a lighter version of their complexion. That's the difference.
and that's an African American they done put down on there. And that man and you gotta think the darker skin, if you have darker skin parents, then the baby's still gonna come out pretty light. Maybe not as white as some of like somebody
Matter
like
of fact,
my kid, but they'll still come out a lot lighter and then get darker.
type in do African babies come out white like black American babies?
Do African American oh wait a minute. Do African well hold up. Oops. African babies come out white like African American babies? Says no, African babies are not typically born with white skin, but like African American babies, their color is not fully developed at birth and can lighten initially before darkening over time. Both African and African American babies have a range of skin tones, of course, but they don't say we do the same
Look, you see
thing.
that water? Look, you see that water just admitted that yeah, black American babies come out white.
Wow. And that makes a whole. I see mine.
and and who the historical documents say when they babies are born, they come out white, and within 2 to 3 years of their birth, they become dark skin of their parents' complexion.
That'd be us.
Oh I think I done beat them niggas with a birth certificate and they ain't even exist back then.
Oh, gee.
I'm just saying. Hey, science just proved it for AI and science done already proved that Africans don't have white babies. So who are the people on the planet that have white babies that become niggas? And you wonder why white folks attach themselves to black folks in America. Because you can make a white baby, that baby can grow up still white and have every genetic trait of a who?
Of us.
Indian. Yes. Man, listen, bro. Why you think they kept saying the Europeans came to America and found wives? They ain't go nowhere else and find none. go, go look at your Virginia free African American communities. You're gonna see that there were more white mothers who were serving women in those communities than there were black mothers. So what all these African American communities stem from white mothers because these kids' mothers were slave white women, bro. You think that I'm lying, but I'm telling y'all the honest truth. And a lot of the white women mark themselves as mulattoes because their kids were dark. You know they keep that out of history. But Virginia got all that written down. Why you think they put out those marriage laws between niggas and white women? And by 1910, they stopped the Mann Act because they was tired of white women serving everybody. Man, listen, Cherokee Nation was the first to fight for women's rights. It's called petticoat. Women's rights became a black woman empowered thing, but who was the only people that needed rights in America as women? White girls, not black women. We needed voters' rights. Them niggas needed rights to work, rights to be free, rights to walk, rights to wear a dress. Y'all forgot about all that, didn't it? But TB gonna remind y'all of these acts and these laws because it go hand in hand with the heirs property, with the land, with who got rights and who rights got took and who helped people get rights and who tricked people into helping people get rights. See how that works, Sam?
Well.
Now, all of these free African American communities, because you know the baby follow the belly. That means that if your father was an Indian, you couldn't claim your Indian heritage. You know, that's how a lot of black folks became just Americans. Now, I ain't no Indian because you couldn't be raised like an Indian because you grew up in a house with a woman who couldn't cook. You know how many of those kids became orphans and was sent off on trains?
Well, that's something I want to
Now
look
think
more
about
into.
them. Now think about them descending from a man who owns plenty land, but they get shipped all the way to Colorado or to Georgia or to Vermont or to Chicago somewhere on a train or New York. That's a lost family heritage due to the fact that those churches didn't want those white women having babies by niggas. But the white man was allowed to have a baby by the woman, the Indian woman though. You see the difference? The laws was about the black man sleeping with a white woman, not a white man sleeping with a black woman. Read the document. The baby follow the belly, as property gonna follow who carries the children. So if I can get your grandma to leave from Virginia all the way to Mississippi and her not keep a connection with none of her family, guess what I got? And she the only child. All your goddamn property because she ain't going back to get it. You know how many people that find out they old folks was unalive to 20 years later? And somebody else was managing their stuff and there was nothing they can do about it because they hid everything from them people. Went to courthouses, these families done already made deals with the judges and the regular people in the county. You going to jail getting beat up, stomped out unalive, or ran out of the goddamn county, and now you gotta have a bitter soul the rest of your life, and your family don't wonder why you don't like family. We have the court cases, the documents, and the historical movies, and everything else, books, archives, newspaper that explain all of these things to us, bro. So what you really be doing, right? So you be taking piece 1 and piece 12 and connecting them janks to make sure that piece 2 through 11 ain't incomplete, bro. Like, you gotta give yourself some flowers on that. Cause see, you up here dropping gems and ain't realizing, like, boy, the gems I'm dropping is the all around circle that everybody talking about right now. The gems that I'm dropping, anybody can come in from a direction and say, hey, boy, that shit that leads to this property we own. From no matter which part of the story we tell, we can talk about the Chickahominy and Mattapony treaties, right? And we can tell niggas where they get earning stripes and badges from. And that right there let you know why all throughout the South, even over to California, niggas say I earned my stripes. Cause you couldn't leave your plantation or your land unless you had your stripes or badges or honor, or coats or arm. Why you think niggas wear bandanas, flags, and gloves, particular colors, the way they wear it, the fashions that we have? All that plays a part in Arab's property too. The lands that we could live on and what lines we couldn't cross. Because growing up, you might can go through a cut over here, but if it led to somebody yard that y'all ain't get along with on the street, you didn't go through that cut. Your family told you that. Your grandma knew exactly who she didn't deal with by family last name. Arab's property. Remember what it says, the tenant themselves have just as much as right to the land as the owner. And why you think you can get fair housing? Because all of your ancestors' land is in fair housing under trust through the United States. Civil Rights Act, Indian Acts of Civil Rights, all the way from 1832 all the way to 1969. Well, 1819 to 1969. How about that? How I do so far, Sammy? What you think?
No, yeah, man. I mean, there's and it makes this kind of shit makes this field of digging through this history interesting, because they've done a lot of interesting and fucked up shit throughout, and piecing it together. It's fun. I ain't gonna get wrong, but I mean, I ain't gonna lie. But at the same time, every time you find some of these terms, it's kind of fucked up. You always find something even more fucked up they done did. To get do to amend the last fucked up thing they just did. It was already a fucked up thing, like we was talking about with the Dogs Rose, separate niggas out to the Freeman thing. But then they don't went around and amended the Dogs Rose Act. It's like, damn, well, shit.
Yeah,
Well,
think about
okay.
amending it. They amended it, broke down the government, rejected all the people that was naturally a part of the government, and then turned around and told you that the government was never dissolved, but got a bunch of white boys who have no Indian heritage running around claiming they the government. Those were the descendants of the agents of those nations, and people don't even know it. You go back and look at the old Creek Council, right? One of my ancestors, Daniel Ashley, was a councilman in the Creek, but this nigga was Scottish, and his mama was Scottish. Well, she had a little Powhatan blood in her, but she was still Scottish at the most because their ancestry went right back into the European lines. So even though they would mix this generation, 2 generations, they ain't mixing. The next generation they mix. These were still Scottish people. Then when you go mixing with some Muskogee people or Cherokee people, because I come from the Fields family, right? These were Cherokees that were enslaved and took down to Tallahassee. The rest of their family went to Tulsa. Do people know that Tulsa is short for Tallahassee? And in other words, short for Toulouse?
And that the Tallahassee manual labor school was up there by it's in Tulsa, right north of it or right in Tulsa. The Tallahassee Manual Labor Indian School. I'll show people that photo. And I realized it. I just realized that was a black-owned town. To be honest, the Tallahassee. I was just showing that map. of black-owned towns, and right there is the Tallahassee. I didn't realize it was there in red, meaning it was big compared in like Boley. My grandma would have been here in Wetumpka. She went to Boley. But these are all those black-owned towns, and there was even more than that in these so-called Indian territories. Well, they was so-called. They was Indian territories. We was those two people, but yeah, Tallahassee. I'll pull that photo up. But yeah, that's one of the first. I didn't know it was short for Tulsa, but now that makes sense because I didn't know where the hell the word Tulsa came from. I never really thought about it.
Yeah, because it comes from Tallahassee, which comes from Tallahassee, because these were the Choctaws and Creek Indians
They
that
came
mixed
over from
during the
Tallahassee.
Oconee Wars that moved down to Alcachoka. You feel me? The Yamasee was a part of this. The Oconee, the Old Chessie, the Till, man, bro, the head of Chi Chi. Like, bro, you got so many different language group speaking peoples that had them mixed, amalgamated amongst each other and broke off. But they'll tell you the first branch of the Seminoles come from the Chickahatchee, or they call it Chickasaw-Hatchee, or the Chattahoochee band of Creek Indians, bro. Yeah, Tulsa is short for Tallahassee.
That's crazy.
But see,
And it
people don't
made
tell you that
sense.
the Choctaws was all in Chilraw, South Carolina. Because the Choctaws come with the Gaines, they come with the Powells as well. See, a lot of people that have the Power last name, they ain't just Muskogee. Some of them people is Choctaw because they mixed in like that. That's why you got a lot of Yuchi Indians who have Choctaw ancestors. That's why you got a lot of Chuan Indians from out of North Carolina who got Alabama ancestors, and they straight down there. And a lot of them classified as Cherokees. But when we speak on these things, and people from Alabama get to saying, "Oh, one part of my family from North Carolina, other part from Alabama," and then you forget that the Chuan Indians and the Muskogees or the Chuans and the Choctaws was mixing amongst each other. You feel me? So we have to, yeah, we so mixed up with Indians. They a lot of us got misclassified like that because we didn't live in a monolithic lifestyle. Our folks was really going around just making babies everywhere. So, and once the English realized that it was like that for us and they couldn't stop us from doing that, they just started erasing whole tribes. Because I want you to think about it. If a man, like Powhatan had over 32 grandchildren or 32 children, and he sent all his children out to make babies,
Yeah.
and you wonder why so many people is linking back to Opacano and Powhatan.
Yeah. And yeah, I think it's not hard for a man
It's
to
32
impregnate
children.
32. It's hard for a woman to have 32 children, but it's not hard for a man to do it,
It's hard for a man to impregnate
unfortunately.
32 women. And that was the whole point of
Nigga
starting
could do
these
that
free
in a
black and
month.
colored
Some
communities.
niggas,
That
not me,
these
but
niggas was going around impregnating all of those white women. See,
mm,
the colonizers was unaliving and taking their children and enslaving them. So these niggas did the same thing to them. Every time we catch y'all with one of y'all women, we just gonna take them, but we gonna take them in another way. If you pay attention to the stories, they'll say, "Oh, they unalive the women and the children," and you'll turn around and you'll see the women and the children living right amongst the Indians fighting the white folks. How is that possible? Read the history. Why are white women and her children fighting against the colonizers? Because the white women were the slaves the whole time. That's why they sent men first. The women ain't start coming until after 1860. I mean 1680. People got to start paying that some attention. The 1680, they start shipping the women in by the thousands. You have to
I,
realize there's 113 so-called enslaved women, but 100 men.
I was
So it's
just
one
gonna
man
say
to
that
every
I
two
heard that
women.
they were doing like brothels early, like in a sense, like they was just basically when they got here, they were pretty much using them to populate, to intermarriage to get in. That's what I've heard, but I haven't read any source on that.
And see, with the white woman having little Indian children, like, bro, I got one from my census records of where a white woman lied to the judge and said that she had had a baby by a Negro. But the rule in Virginia or Maryland at the time was you couldn't have baby by Indians. and he was a Negro Indian. They sentenced that white woman to they sentenced that white woman to 5 years servitude to the church, and the church sold her as a slave, my nigga. I got it. I gotta go through my genealogy. Well, bro, I promise I'm gonna bring that Jane to you tomorrow. And she on my family tree. So when people sit around and say, oh, white folks didn't go through slaves, you white women did.
And you
And
know
you
that
know
brings
chattel
up.
slavery includes indentured servitude.
You said what?
Chattel slavery. Chattel slavery includes indentured servitude into an apprenticeship.
Yeah, I do.
So
I
if a
do.
person say an indentured servant is not a slave, well, go tell me what chattel mean. Go look up the word chattel and tell me, does it not mean personal property? And does an indentured servant go into the category of chattel?
Yeah.
He's a servant. You own him. Indentured or not, it's a contract. He signed it. Anybody that you call a slave is a prisoner of war. You can't have a slave without a war, and you can't have a servant without a contract.
And that's why I said
That's the law.
and that's why I started to say I believe that they was doing trickery with those with the wording on the census calling them free white persons, because it's like you got free white persons but the head of household is a black person. So what is a free white person doing on a black person's plantation if they free? I believe they were just trying to
Yeah.
label themselves that
White person,
free.
free white person can be qualified by person of color.
You said a free white person could be
Free white
also
person,
listed as a person of color. I forgot about that too.
and that's in South Carolina and Georgia slave code. So whitewashing the history was the main thing because of all the white women that got fucked. No, I don't want to tell that part of the story. Go look up why they made marijuana illegal.
I don't know, CR. Are you trying to get back up? Or was that an accident? I think that might have been an accident. And somebody else was trying to get back up or get up. That might have been an accident. But yeah, but no, that's what was I about to say too? It was something right before we was talking about the free white persons thing. The interracial. One thing after talking to Tasha Z, um, some people and even I didn't even realize how much of a stranglehold, how much of a authority the churches really had back over you in the day. Like if you didn't pay your tithes, you could be reprimanded in many ways. Some people sold into slavery for not paying their tithes. Some people having to go do work or whatever, work the tithe money off or having to do something. And I was just like, man, today it kind of reminds me of when and sometimes I remember our pastors trying to be back in the day. I ain't been in church forever, but they was trying to like enforce like people not paying their tithes here and there. So they would, do little things and mention it here and there. They wouldn't do nothing like they doing today or like they did back then, but it just kind of let me know, like, man, like I want to do. These people know what they used to do and how these churches used to have a whole lot of authority. And even when I look at like, I was just reading some shit about Mexico and some of the. I was trying to read up some stuff about the Apaches, but long story short, they were talking about a particular province and how the church um, there had no this was some ancient book from it had a codicy. It was a codicy, a codex written in Latin, and I had that bitch translated, and it said that it was like how the church was only going to allow certain people off per one day, and everybody else has to, they'll allow certain amount of merchants. They was like one shoemaker and one this one that per every 200 in each town, and everybody else, if they're not part of this, they got to go back to work, or they call it a mitas. They have to go. They can't be excused from their mitas or some shit. And I was just like, man, like I just think about like today, we don't give a fuck about the church.
See that? No, people still do care about the church because that's what they use to sentence people with. See, the church was the first court. Just like the White House was ran like a church at first. The White House was not a presidential place, it was a church warding place. You can go look that up. Was the White House formerly a church? And it'll tell you, yeah, before the presidents was in the White House, that bitch was a church.
Damn.
Yeah, that's where they was holding the. Hey, shout out to you, Sam. Shout out to you, Cuz TV, man. Shout out to y'all, man. Y'all great researchers, both of you guys, man. I always have been.
Hey man, hey look, I be stalking the shit out of Sam. I ain't gonna lie. I be on that nigga ass, bro. I been on that nigga ass since I first read that nigga. I don't never let that nigga out my sight. I don't know.
Yeah,
Hey,
Sam. He the real deal. He the
that nigga.
real.
Hey, I don't want to make it. I don't want to make it sound disrespectful. But boy, you like a second-hand Rashad Poet, but you a first-hand Samuel. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? Cause your research, that shit was exclusive. You feel me? Like, hey, I
Yeah.
rock with you. I rock with Rashad, bro. I don't rock with too many people when it comes to intellect and intelligence on a vast level. You know, like my partner Geechee, I rock with him on that type of time. You know what I'm saying? There's a couple other fellas on the joint too. You know, I ain't gotta say no names. Them boys know that they actually intellectual. Then you got some, they just good gym droppers. You know, shout out to them too. But bro, you really be doing your goddamn thing, man. I like it because
Yeah.
you'll peep this right here. You'll see it in another book and be like, well, damn. Then you'll see it in a third book and be like, gotcha, bitch.
Yeah, that's what I love about it. I love how he sorts up with the books. You feel me? Like he put them together. You know what I'm saying? And yeah, just great content overall, man. Shout out to y'all, man.
I appreciate that. That means a lot, y'all. It really does.
Samuel, when you were saying, or when you spoke about the brothels, that they was putting them in brothels, it's crazy because in Tennessee, and I've been trying to get people to really look this up and just dive into it. They did a study, the University of Memphis, Mississippi, Oxford, and I think the University of Memphis too. They did a study called the Bawdy Bluff, Bawdy Bluff, prostitution in Memphis, Tennessee, 1820 to 1901. And because Memphis and Nashville, it was legal to have prostitution was legal in the state of Tennessee. And everybody know the oldest profession in the world was prostitution, which is a form of what? It's sex slavery. You know? So in Memphis, we still have brothels on our street in Memphis. On a street called McLemore, we still have brothels, and it was a famous what they call a madam, or she wasn't even a madam at first. She was a regular worker, and her name was Ann. She was a white lady. You feel me? She was known to be amongst a lot of the like politicians and all this stuff back in the days or whatever in the 1800s. And in the study, what they were saying was when the women would have children, the workers would have children, the sons, the boys would go work the fields, and when they finally legalized it, I mean, no. When they started putting laws against it, they started finding the women, and the women would have to go work the penal farms. You know, yeah. So that's how I've been looking at it. I look at it like, hold on, the so-called black people was owning these farms. You feel me? And when they was talking about convict leasing and all that right there, they were doing that with the cities and the states, because even my family, they even owned what they call a penal farm. You feel me? You would get in trouble in the city or in a town, and you would have to go work off your debt at the penal farm. You know, and they called it the workhouse. And
Churches did.
yeah. You say what now?
I said the churches didn't play back then, and that's why a lot of people, families, ain't join the churches until after the Civil Rights Act. Like if you really paid some attention, none of these people, families, was heavy in churches like that until after civil rights, and that's when they started saying the black women in the church was basically one and the damn same because the black women bring everybody to church, her husband and her children. Without that woman, ain't nobody coming to church because they knew that the petticoat government was what was running the South. The petticoat government is what sold out the land, but the petticoat government is what was fighting for the land. So when you go read the Cherokee petticoat government movement or the Cherokee woman rights movement, they're gonna try to separate it from the black woman's movement, but then you'll realize that boy, that movement extended into what you call the black movement. How the fuck did that happen? Matter of fact, bro, Sam, type that in for the ladies real quick so they can see for themselves.
And what was the type? What now?
It's called Cherokee Woman Rights Petticoat Government.
Cherokee Woman Rights Petticoat Government.
Mm-hmm.
Cherokee Women Rights Petticoat Government.
Yeah. Hey, it makes so much sense now, man. When you broke it down, TB, about the white tea women being the slaves and having children with these mixed, having these mixed children, and they basically not being accepted inside of the white European or whatever you want to call them society. You feel me? And they shunned them. They will be shunned. It makes so much sense, man, because we had a thing, TB, you probably can make sense of this. A Circadian sex slave. We had a lot of them in Tennessee. Circadian people from wherever that place is over there by the Levant or over the Iberia or whatever, and they came down to Tennessee. But these were white tea women with like afros though. We got a lot of that. You feel me? Got a lot of that in Tennessee in different parts and little spurts. But I always used to look at them. I'd be like, damn, why do these folks look so damn pale and red? You know what I'm saying? I'm like, what the fuck? Well,
That's why I was
I
trying to
started.
tell people the original term for pale face was an indigenous white presenting person. It wasn't a European.
Mm-hmm.
But that's why the laws about Indians being able to say they white because they had Indian fathers and white mothers. That's why Walter Plecker put that law out because all these children were coming from niggas. But if it had been a white man and an Indian woman, it'd have been different. He wouldn't have been able to put the laws out like that. But a lot of the women from our culture wasn't sleeping with white boys. It was the niggas, hence Malcolm X, Martin Luther King, and all them other niggas who had fetishes for white women.
Yeah, because even when I was talking about that study, the Body Bluff, they were saying that like the black men was like the pimps, and the black women were like the madams that ran the houses and all that stuff. You know what I'm saying? And they basically would let the white girls or whatever come work the houses and stuff. You know what I'm saying? No cap. In Memphis, and that's why 8 Ball and MJG said we started this shit. We gonna finish this shit. Yeah, but it was serious though. They even had like the lawyers of that time. When you look at that study, you had lawyers. Everybody agreed with the sex slavery thing in Tennessee, except the people who own the cotton farms. That's crazy. They wasn't with the prostitution stuff because they were saying that the women would lead the farms. They didn't want to. I guess didn't want to do the hard work. They would just go lay on their back or whatever. They were gonna lay on their back and work the farms. It's crazy, bro. Yeah.
This is true, and that's why people start studying the history in the perspective that it really goes, and that's why, like, I ain't gonna lie. See, Sam, you really be keeping the history in the proper perspective because, see, everybody be everywhere else, and they don't look at the faults of white women and why white women had to fight for all these rights and they had to use black women to get them because they knew that the Cherokees were the only women that had women rights in the South. The Creek women had lost their women rights. They were taking all of their babies, and that's why a lot of these women ancestors became Cherokees. And so many niggas like, oh, I got a Cherokee grandmama. Or your folks went through a thing where they made sure they were separated from the city, and the city wasn't coming in the woods to fuck with them. And the city built around them, and now your folks in a small country town, and it's a big city that literally stretches out to them. So
Yeah, and that's a whole nother rabbit hole to go down. I didn't even think about it as like knowing the different tribal laws in each tribe to know the dynamics of what happened if like why would somebody choose to go to a different tribe or choose to identify with a different tribe or what would make people jump or move or what caused a split between tribes. And there's a lot of history that at least I haven't personally touched on with that. I can see how one it can be interesting to learn, but two how much they can play a part with just within the overall scheme of all of the history.
but see, that type of research there, that's a 20, 30 man, 100 person deep research based on genealogy, war history, oral tradition, and everything a nigga can find. That ain't one thing you can cover in a section of, the way we talking right now. See, what we doing right now, we skipping over things because if we really indulge into them, we won't be able to really teach everybody everything that goes with it. So we have to break certain perspectives and points down. When you deep dive like that, you get to realizing that some of the motherfuckers that you talking to and right next to you, you ain't got no business talking to because of past relations with people. You know what I'm saying? From your ancestors. So it's either y'all gonna correct it or you ain't. And you can tell within the motherfucker attitude and how they rock amongst people, ain't no correcting nothing with them. So when you want to do research like that, bro, that's a backdrop research because you can't do it online because too many people gonna have questions. You really gonna have to have a bunch of people in the backdrop, everybody on the same subject, and motherfuckers literally tracing migration patterns with wars, like with acts, with laws, with rulings, with church burnings and bombings and whatever else we can find, lynchings. All of these things are really, really gonna count. You know what I'm saying? So like the person just said, we already done dropped a big download because we got references in books, newspaper articles, schools. We got timelines. We can put names on everything that we're talking about. So with what we already done discussed tonight is already a heavy load. And the 32 people that done left, most of them gonna have to go do some research or they gonna be lost tomorrow when you come in and get to talking again. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So you gotta realize that 60 people stayed because they really, 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 really are doing some type of research that go with what we talking about. But when you go to doing that, that's one of those, hey bro, I'm doing their genealogy. I just found this document. Whoop, whoop, whoop. Okay, look, for my family, this, that, and the third. One half named this, the other half named that. We all on the same street, bro. I ain't even know these folks no kin to me. I shot my cousin last year, type shit. You know what I'm saying? That's how deep that shit gonna get. So,
Yeah. Minutes, but I wanted to
you
say
know,
like I also thought um about like all the forts. Like at some point, like Charles Fort eventually becomes Charlestown, and I start thinking about how white folks or whoever will pull up to a coast, build a fort, and then I remember reading the whole thing about it was either Yamasi or whatever them wars that was going on back and forth. But basically, like white folks would come out, start murking
the
folks.
Indians built all those forts.
Yeah. Oh, you said the Indians built the forts?
Most of them.
Nah, that I didn't know. Okay.
Yeah, bro. And I'm finna tell you, if you keep reading the different histories of the forts, you're gonna find out the first they gonna you gonna come across a new
So it's
modern
really the other
revised
way
shit.
around, like fortifying yourself against the enemy coming in versus the way I was saying fortifying yourself. So they did almost like they came
Right,
took
like
over
which
their
way
fort.
like which way is the entrance? Which part is the inside and which part is the outside of the Great Wall of China? Basically, you know what I'm saying? Because people think that the outside of the Great Wall of China is literally the side that people trying to enter Asia in. No, that's the inside of the wall. The outside is the side that's facing China. So when y'all be hearing things, you got to start thinking about it backwards from the English perspective. These forts were there from the French and the English. I mean, the French and the Spanish. Why did the English need to build a fort? Right? Because you think about it, the Star Fort was already there. Fort Alabama was already there. The Negro forts was already there. Every fort that was an Indian fort got called a Negro fort, or a Negro slave trade fort, or a fort where they fought the Indians and ruined the Indians' lives. Why? Because the Indians was letting them come and live in those forts. And that's why used to tell people when I first got on TikTok, those people ain't got no business living outside the forts.
You know what? That
That's
makes a
why
lot of
it's Fort
sense.
Gordon, Fort
Because that's
Sumter.
how DeSoto, when he came into Mobile or Mobila, Tuscaloosa and all them was inside of an area that they had to enter in through a certain area. That would have been a fort, and I actually seen that on some other Indian forts. So now I definitely can see that. That was just me correlating that Charles Fort to that, but nothing actually ever told me that. And I don't even know why I didn't think that was actually the Indians fort.
Fort Moore, Fort Augusta, all the forts, bro, them janks were built by Indians. And if you go back and read most of the treaties, the Indians destroyed them forts and had to rebuild them. And that's how they got the Negro and African slaves, because when the Indians tore up everything that they had promised these people, that's when the word nigger came into existence for the Indians, because everywhere people were going, the Indians were literally destroying it. So one Indian would make a promise, another Indian would come and break the promise. Hence, promised land. Promise got to be kept.
Mm-hmm.
Treaties, remember, those are promises.
There you go, Keisha. Keisha was asking me about Rosalie Neal. I haven't looked a ton into the Neals. I got pretty far back, going back to Alabama 1812. It's been a minute since I've actually looked at like the actual hints and stuff for the Neal, so I can't tell you. But maybe you can find, it matches up with somebody on your tree. I just thought I'd pull it up for you real fast. But yeah, but nah,
Gotta
man, I'm gonna
think
have to
about
get
it.
off. I gotta go take care of. But I'm gonna let you get your last words out, TB, and play for a minute, and then say my goodbyes to the folks, and I'm gonna head out of here.
That's a bet, man. But I like the way that I can find all of your last names on some kind of Indian roll. Literally. Know what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
when I be telling folks I know my indigenous language, I just don't speak it to people, because as soon as we say something to you about it, you gonna say we made it up, because you don't really know it, because it's a part of my Ebonic tongue as well. So when you show people things that are Ebonic that match the Muskogee language, they get to looking at you like you crazy, but they have to realize that it's Arawak words and this shit, it's Gullah words and this shit, it's Patois words in my fucking language, bro. Because all of these people were mixing amongst each other in the South. There's Cherokee words in my language and you don't know it because it's in your English as well. You can't say most towns, most rivers, most streams, and most states or cities without saying an indigenous word. It might be angelicized, but go back to the Spanish version of that word, and then the Spanish will teach you the Indian version of that word, or the French will teach you it, or the Portuguese or the Dutch. The English didn't know it. That's why they mistranslated everything about every other colonizer being in America. For so long, you didn't even know the Spanish or the French was in America. You just knew that the U.S. government didn't want none of those people here. So when you start thinking about it and you learn how much territory the Spanish had and that they didn't lose their territory until after the 1830s, then you have to ask yourself, how could Mississippi exist when it was still part of Indian territory? How did Alabama exist when it was still Spanish and Indian territory? That means somebody wrote you out of history.
Hmm.
And in order to write you out of history, they had to write Africans into history. And this is the part that nobody is getting or understanding. UNESCO's themselves, the people that do everybody's world history, even admitted that they wrote the Africans into the path of history. And that was on every continent. Why would they have to admit that Africa had no written history and therefore it gave the Europeans right to be in Africa? Because the Europeans had the ability to write Africa in the path of history. The Africans had no world history, bro. They were not world renowned. Nobody had been on the interiors of Africa except Americans. No
Yeah,
foreigners
shout
had
out to
ever
y'all,
been on
man.
the
Shout out to
no foreigners
y'all.
had ever been on the interior of the Americas until people came to the Americas wanting them to take people into the interiors of other world. You go back and reread Spanish, Portuguese, or Dutch history. All these people did business on coastal lands. They never went into the interior of anybody's lands. But when they brought Americans there with them, they went into the interior and the hearts of people's lands. This is the real history, bro. Read the books properly and quit trying to make it seem like a European did something. They did nothing. Ethiopia was Ethiopia until they got into the interior of Africa, 1885. Who took them into the interior? American niggas. ACS. Common sense, people.
Real talk. Real talk,
In
play
fact,
header. Go ahead.
man, I just want to say shout out to y'all. Keep the research coming, man. Samuel, I'm waiting on the book from you. Uh, yeah, man. Hey, y'all just keep putting it down for the people, man. Give these people something to think about. Y'all got a plethora of information and knowledge, man, that we all need to be tuned into. Uh, Hey, I'm stunned every time I hear y'all speak, man. Even when you get up and challenge in the TV and Samuel, when y'all challenge them, man, I be stunned. I be like, they doing their research. They doing their research. They own it, you know. So y'all keep going, man. Shout out to y'all, man.
Oh yeah, man. Shout out to
Hey,
you,
man.
man, and shout out to you too, TB. Man, like I said, I really appreciate those words, man. Like when I first, I'm gonna have to get off here pretty quick, but when I first got on here, man, like on TikTok, like I know I'm a good researcher, but I know I had tackled almost hardly any of these topics. So I ain't even gonna lie. When I seen like you on panels and Rashad and Los and other people on panels, I didn't know what the hell y'all was talking about to a degree. I know like a smidge. I had did like a little lightweight documentary on YouTube about the Indian stuff. I knew like a lot of the basic surface level stuff that your people knew, like your little Verizanos and your whatevers. I knew quite a bit, but I was nowhere near as deep as where I am now, and I know that there's a lot more. And so, like the more now that I listen to a lot of what you say and a lot of what other folks say, I can follow it. Is what I'm getting to, and that means that lets me know that y'all been deep in the game way longer, and I'm just now catching up to a smidge of what y'all talking about, man. And and I hope to try to gain as much more and much more and much more the more I dig deep and have these conversations as well with y'all on this stuff, man. So now you
I'm gonna tell
definitely
you though,
open
man.
my eyes on some things.
If you wanna be able to trace every gem you got genealogical wise, bro, you gotta follow that nigga Top Cat, bro. I'm gonna say this and I'm gonna say this out loud.
Top Cat is cool too,
I don't
yeah.
give a damn what nobody say. I challenged this man one night being funny, bro. I challenged him. I said, I don't know no nigga that can bring the source in the genealogy to match his source on Indian or African American history. I be damn, bro. This nigga came and rocked my live for like 2 hours. Then turned around, went on his live and did it for 2 hours. And I was sitting there like, ain't no way in the fuck This nigga went all the way from motherfucking Delaware to Texas in a time pattern with the same fucking families down the same lines, telling you everything them niggas did to fuck over the niggas. He did that, bro. And he done did that with so many different lines of so-called white Indians, $5 Indians. So I'm talking about, bro, that nigga scary, honestly. I'm gonna just be honest with you. I don't know no nigga that do what he do, bro. I don't even do
Yeah,
that
he
shit.
cold with the genealogy. He cold with the
That
genealogy.
nigga
I ain't gonna
cold,
front.
bro. Like, bro,
He cold.
that nigga numero uno. You hear me? That nigga don't call himself top cat for nothing. I'm talking about that's big dog for real with the genealogy and the historical line and the history to go with the shit and everything they done. That nigga, bro, his name is Top BCU Top Cat, and I'm not riding the nigga nuts. I'm just telling you my experience of following home. You know what I'm saying? Like he even tell me, TB, that little Florida shit you kicking, that's the most wicked shit right there any nigga can teach. Cause if them niggas ain't teaching history from that timeline, that mean we gotta teach them history from the 13 colonies. That mean them niggas don't want to learn. And he'll tell you that, bro. If you can't teach no little Florida history, no real Louisiana history, no real Texas history, you shouldn't be teaching shit. Because you don't know the genealogy of the 13 colonies that go with that historical shit to teach it.
That's real. No, I
That's why I'm
believe
so
you.
happy, bro. I'm so
Yeah.
happy you be in Indian territory. Like I be like, damn, boy. Boy, I'm glad this nigga don't be stuck in the 13 colonies, because you know how many niggas ain't got nothing to do with the 40 acres and the mule. They not from the Gullah Geechee corridor. They ain't got shit to do with none of the acts that happened in Virginia, South Carolina, or Georgia.
Mm-hmm.
These niggas was over on the west side of the Appalachians in a place that was not the United States, going all the way back west to California, past the Louisiana Purchase, where niggas had to have passports to come across different territorial lines back then. So I really be wanting people to realize, like, it's certain people, bro. If you from a certain area, you need to follow people of that area, because you in the wrong side of the United States trying to teach history, dog, or trying to learn some history when your family ain't even from over here. Period. Niggas be going down their whole family line. They family be from Louisiana to California, from Texas to to Mississippi, but they somewhere in the 13 colonies arguing with niggas about slave codes.
Yeah,
Boy,
man.
your people live in Arkansas. They ain't never been on the east of the Appalachians. They don't know what Allegheny is.
Now you on point. I'm my bad. I'm gonna have to get off here. Getting short on my time, but no, you super on point, and that's why I based a lot of my studies on in this area, and that, and also a lot of my family, all my family, start off in Alabama, Mississippi, and everything, and just go straight to Oklahoma, and that's what my conundrum is with it. But yeah, I'm gonna have to get off here, y'all, man. Definitely appreciate y'all. We definitely gonna chop it up. Appreciate everybody being in here. I gotta run, but man, appreciate your TB, appreciate your player.
Man,
We
what you
definitely
gonna
gonna
be
chop it
on
up.
next time you come up?
You said what?
What you teaching next time? I said, what you teaching next time you come up so I can be on point.
Shoot, I don't know. We're gonna see, because I don't run out. I don't never run out of stuff. I just end up. I usually just do my little searching for shit, and then I'll just pop up whenever I find something interesting. To be honest with you, but well, I'll keep you up. We'll definitely chop it up.
All right, man. Send me your number, bro.
All right, for sure. All right, man. Y'all be cool,
All right.
man. Appreciate y'all being here. I'm gonna jump off here. Y'all enjoy your night. If I may come back up, if we'll see in a few hours. All right, man.